Two, check two, check two, check two, check two. Here we go. Okay. Oh, boy, I haven't done a stream in a long time. Hello. Let's do this full screen. Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name's Chris with Crosstalk Solutions, and thank you all so much for joining my live stream. I see a few people in the chat already. Check two, okay. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Yeah, so basically this live stream, we're just going to be setting up a FreePBX from start to finish. Boy, I'm using my webcam for the first time in a long time. It's like, I feel like it's really like zoomed in on my head. But maybe I'm just used to the other new camera that I got. Anyways, well, welcome everyone. Looks like there's about 16 people out there. Looks like Willie's here. Hey, Willie. Sorry to surprise you this morning with a bunch of a bunch of new subscribers. Hope you appreciate that. Oh, Netherlands checking in. All right. Oh, you know what? I got a new view here. Let's try this out. There we go. Now we can actually see the chat along with my screen and whatever I'm working on. So I figured that would be nicer, especially if you guys are watching this live stream after the fact, or I guess, when it's not live anymore. I'm referring to people in the comments and, what they're saying. With this view, we can now actually see what people are saying, and that will be recorded on the live stream. So it's actually a little small. Sorry, guys. I changed up my monitor. I've got like a 2K monitor now, so it's like super big. So I'm going to try to zoom this in as best I can. If you guys are having any trouble seeing stuff, let me know. Hello, Greece, Ecuador. Oh, of course, Edge Switch logs me out. London, Ecuador, Greece, Portugal, UK, Tennessee. All right, well, thanks. Belgium. Wow, people checking in from all over the place. If you guys are in a time zone where it's already night or, after work hours, I very much encourage, having a beer or two while you're watching the live stream. So if it was not just 1 p.m. here in Oregon, I would probably be having a beer myself. So, okay. All right, so what we're going to do today is I've got a bunch of equipment. I've got a customer I need to set up a phone system for. And so I figured I would just unbox this phone system 60 and set it up with some phones. Basically go through the initial setup. And this person is also, oh, someone's calling me from Texas. Let's turn that off. Someone is also, this person also has a separate VLAN that I'm not used to using. So I will be setting up my Edge router and my Edge Switch 24 for that new VLAN first. And then once I've got that all dialed in, we're going to proceed with the setup of the FreePBX. So let's get right into it. As always with my live streams, thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you want something answered, or you have a topic for discussion, anything like that, go ahead and throw that into the comments. I will get to it as soon as I can, and then we will go from there. Oh, wait, there we go. Look at that. Comments coming in already. How do the phones connect to the server? Does it use DHCP option 66? So, yes, I like to use DHCP option 66, and I'm going to be setting up DHCP option 66 in my Edge router here in just a minute. You don't have to use option 66, but it works really well. Let me give you guys a really cool scenario. So last weekend, or late last week, if you follow me on Twitter or saw my channel, I was actually down in San Jose. And I was down in San Jose replacing a complete, check the quality please. Sorry guys, if this is not good quality or anything like that, my apologies. It looks like it's 30 frames per second on my side, so if you guys are having any sort of quality issues, yeah, it looks fine to me. I got green lights and 30 FPS, so everything seems fine. Anyways, back to the story. So this person, we basically put in an Edge Router Pro, 5 Edge Switch 48s, and 1 Edge Switch 24. And we set it up really nicely. Oh, because we also did a FreePBX, excuse me. So I did a full core network, rip out and replacement, and then also a FreePBX phone system in the span of about 2.5 days. It was quite a feat. But so when we did this setup, and pardon me if I lose track of thought and pause from time to time, but I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments at the same time that I'm talking to you guys. So we set it up so that they had separate VLANs, and the way they wanted to set it up was we had VLAN 6 for data and VLAN 5 for voice over IP. So for all of the switch ports, and let me log into my switch and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if you click on the VLAN wizard in an edge switch, you basically can see what's tagged, excluded, and untagged. So when you have something like a data LAN and a voice VLAN, you can make it all work together very seamlessly. So we basically made each VLAN 6, the data VLAN, was untagged, like these are. Like, see, I've got my default VLAN untagged across all of the ports, or most of the ports. And then on those same ports, VLAN 5, the voice VLAN, was tagged, right? So you've got, if you plug in an untagged device, it's just going to go to VLAN 6. If you plug in a device that's tagged to VLAN 5, it's going to go to VLAN 5, right? So pretty standard VLAN stuff. Now, that being said, what we did was we were able to use option 66 in VLAN 6 to point the phones to the server in VLAN 5, right? And we had opened up routing between those VLANs. So basically what happened is you would set up a phone in FreePBX, set it up in the endpoint manager, get it all ready to go, and by the way, in the endpoint manager, I'm configuring the phone onto VLAN 5, right? So you take a phone brand new out of the box, you plug it into the network, any port in the network, it gets option 66 from DHCP, it gets an IP address on VLAN 6, gets option 66 from DHCP, goes out to the server, grabs its configuration file, reboots, and comes back up tagged to VLAN 5 and gets an IP address in VLAN 5 and then connects to the server. So really nice way to do that, right? It takes a little bit of setup and a little bit of sort of planning, but you now have a switch where you can plug a computer into any port and it goes to the data port, and you plug a phone into any port and it will reboot onto the phone or the VoIP VLAN. So really nice way to run things. And I'm not going to do anything that complicated here, but I do need to create some VLANs or a VLAN. Now the VLAN that they're using for this customer is 192.168.76.0/24. So let's go ahead and create that here. So the VLAN I'm going to create, I'm just going to call it VLAN 76. So let's say 76, and we're going to add a new VLAN, and this is in my Edge Switch 24, by the way. Can I zoom this in a little bit? Give me 1 second. How do I zoom this? Oh, that's a little bit better. Okay, so here, I'll turn off the comments even for a second. There we go. Okay, so we can see here I've got a bunch of VLANs already set up. Don't worry about those. What I really need to do is I just want some untagged VLAN 76 ports. Okay, so I see I've got excluded ports here. I've got a couple of untagged 100s. I'm going to turn those off. That's for something that I was playing with. So E means exclude, so I'm basically turning off those ports. And I want to include or do untagged ports. I'm going to do 24, 23, 22, and 21. All right, so I'm just giving myself 4 untagged ports. Oh, Bahrain checking in. Welcome. Welcome, Abdullah from Bahrain. Okay, so here we have 4 untagged ports, and I also think I need to tag this here, because this is my trunk port, right? So if you look at your trunk port, I'll probably tag this one too. We've got my default VLAN that comes from my edge router, and then I want to pass VLAN 2, 10, 76, and 100 on this trunk port. Then it should, anything that I plug into these ports, 21 through 24, is going to be untagged. And when you're untagged, basically what that means is if any device that I plug into it, if it's tagged with VLAN 76, that's fine. It's going to actually strip that VLAN tag off when it comes into the switch, and it's going to add that VLAN tag when it goes out of the switch, right? So no big deal. Now if I had other port like VLAN 100 tagged, that means that I could plug something into these ports tagged with VLAN 100 like a phone, and it would default to VLAN 100. Okay, so again, I don't want to get too deep into the VLANs discussion because VLANs are like they're a whole thing that takes a lot of like sitting down and planning. You can't just like go through and throw VLANs on stuff. I guess you can, but that's how networks get screwed up. All right, so untagged, untagged, there we go. Tag, tag, tag. I think I'm good with this. I'm going to save this configuration. Let's see. Is it possible to have multiple trunks, but only certain extension can use them? If so, how could I achieve this? Keep up the good work. So, Thomas, let me go back to my other view here. So Thomas asks right here, is it possible to have other trunks, multiple trunks, but only certain extensions can use them? If so, how can I achieve this? Yes, it is possible. There's two ways that you can do that in the FreePBX, and I assume you're talking about SIP trunks, not like trunk ports in the VLAN or something. But yes, you can do that, and it really requires a module, commercial module, and the commercial module that I like to use for that is the extension routing module. That allows you to say these extensions have permission to dial out this SIP trunk, and these other extensions have permission to dial out this SIP trunk. And what that's good for is when you have one FreePBX that's hosting like two businesses or two business entities where they want to be able to dial out as one or the other, and some phones default as one and the other phones default as the other. That's a good way to do it. There's also a class of service module that you can get for FreePBX that does the same thing, but it's a little bit more in-depth. It gives you a lot more permissions capabilities. So why did you use VLANs? Well, I don't like to use VLANs all the time. This is from Michael. But I use VLANs because, if a customer wants to separate stuff onto, for traffic purposes. In this case, they had way more devices than could fit into a single class C, so they kind of just separated things out into a voice VLAN and then a data VLAN. The other, there's a lot of reasons for doing that. Security, you can firewall between VLANs so that only certain traffic can pass between those VLANs. You can do it for quality of service, where you can assign higher levels of quality service to the traffic on one VLAN versus another. So there's a lot of reasons to use VLANs, but I'm not a huge fan of them, but I do use them, where appropriate. All right, and Willie, you're absolutely right, by the way. So Willie said he'd be interesting to see if the wizard saves your changes here. I've had a few switches where the wizard changes didn't stick. You're absolutely right. I have seen that as well. Did I save this? I think I did. So we'll see. But I actually had very good luck using the wizard when I was configuring those 5 ES48s over the weekend. I used it a bunch of times and never had a problem. The other way you can do it is you can come in here to switching VLAN port configuration. And then you can just go through here, select which VLAN you want, like 76, and then select the ports you want, like down here. Oh, look, did it? Yeah, look. Oh no, it's not included. You're right. Look at that, Willie. Not included. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Click, 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 and we're gonna say port VLAN 76. Click, click, click. Edit. And we want to include these ports untagged and submit. So now we see these ports are included. Okay? So that's interesting. Yeah, the wizard is goofy. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I also want to include port 1 of VLAN 76, but I just want to include it as a tagged port. Okay, so that should work. So Mr. Korsmit, do you have an idea to set up hot desking? Yeah, actually I've thought about doing a video on hot desking, but I haven't completely sat down to figure it out yet. Hot desking is basically the ability to have a phone on a desk that you log into, and when you log into it, it assumes the extension identity that you logged in with, right? So it's good for where multiple people sit at a single desk and use a single phone. They can log in as themselves on the phone, and then all of their phone calls come to them. It is possible with the some of these newer phones like the Yelinks and the Sangomas, and you have to and you can use the endpoint manager, and there is actually, I think, a hot desking module as well or something. Again, I haven't quite looked into hot desking 100%, so I'm not sure exactly how it works, though I do know it is possible with FreePBX. So Adam, can you talk about the importance of using QoS when setting up VoIP? Yeah. The importance is mostly having QoS that prioritizes voice over IP packets at your edge, right? So most people are going to have a nice gigabit LAN, and the gigabit LAN is, there's really not a lot of reason for QoS on your LAN. There just isn't. People will argue about that, but if you've got, especially in my line of work, most of the businesses that I deal with are, 100 phones and below. So in that environment, if you get on the phone And if every single person picks up the phone and makes a phone call at the same time, that's going to be, well, quick math, 8 megabits worth of traffic on your network. So 8 megabits of traffic on a gigabit network, there's plenty of overhead, there's plenty of bandwidth. So unless you've got something else going on that network that's saturating that gigabit backplane, you're not going to really need QoS on the LAN. Where you do need QoS is as packets traverse out to the internet. So if you're using SIP trunking, if you have remote extensions, whatever the case may be, if you have SIP traversing the internet or traversing your firewall out to the internet, that's where having QoS on that link to prioritize those packets is a really good idea. Okay, so let's see. Can you talk about the importance of using QoS? We did that. I have found some docs on the interwebs where everyone says different things. Oh, about hot desking. Yeah. EdgeMax switch. And then Willie, what codec do you use? What is the bandwidth per channel? So the codec that I use for most everything is G711 ULAW. That's the default, and that's 80 kbps up and down per concurrent phone call. It's a good codec. There, you can get into like G729 codecs, which compress it down more, but I prefer just to leave it uncompressed all the time. What are the basic specs you use for a FreePBX system? Hang on, let me show you guys what I'm looking at here. What are the basic specs you use for a FreePBX system? It varies widely based on the customer. So every PBX that I install, I listen to the needs of the customer. They evaluate their internet connection, how many phones they have, what type of business they are, and then I give them the appropriate phone system sized appropriately for their business based on the feedback that they've given me. So it's you know, I always say networks are like snowflakes, right? There's never two that are exactly the same. You know, phone systems are, they're kind of similar. But if you go to my page, crosstalksolutions.com, I do have some like packaged phone systems that you can see that would be good for like 10 or 20 users. You can see like at least the hardware that I standardize on and the softwares and all that sort of stuff. Thank you, CMF Soul. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get moving with these VLANs. So we've now, if we go back to my VLAN wizard, basic VLAN, I should see very similar what I already set up. So I've got untagged, and then 76 is tagged. And then see, here's the other thing, and maybe Willie, I don't know, maybe you understand this, but I've always seen this where the untagged ports that you put onto a VLAN show up in the wizard as U, or as O for other. And I'm not sure what other means, so I always make a point of coming back in here and switching these back to U, and then reapplying it. Why is this not? Oh, I've already got an untagged port here. See, look, it didn't save those. Yeah, see? It's a little goofy, this VLAN wizard. Let's see if this will save this time. Save. All right, looks like it's saved. Save configuration. Do I ever work with Windows Server? Yeah, I work with Windows Server. Not as much as I used to when I was a network administrator, but I do. How did I make my website? I did it myself with WordPress. And the WordPress theme that I recommend for everyone, if you guys ever get into WordPress website building, is use the X theme. The X theme is awesome. It's my favorite WordPress theme. I've done a lot of WordPress work, not so much anymore, but when I first started out in independent consulting, I was doing website work. I was doing anything I get my hands on. And I found after a lot of research that the X theme was like the best theme out there. It's like $60. Like, it's a decent priced WordPress theme, but it's so good. Okay, so let's see, VLAN. Let's see what we look like now. Okay, so now we're looking okay. I think we're good. Untagged, tagged, untagged, 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 untagged. Okay, so what do I think about GrandStream PBX? You don't want to know. GrandStream PBX is no good. I don't like them. I won't say any more than that. I don't want to trash them too much. And then, Willie, what was my 9 to 5 before consulting? Before this, my fancy title was Director of Installations for a fairly well-known voice-over IP, hosted voice-over IP company. Basically, I was the guy in charge of the 30 or so people that did all of the installations for that company on a monthly basis. It was like 250 phone system installs a month or so, right around there. Not nearly the volume of phone installs I do today, I'll tell you that. Okay, and then before that, I was a network administrator for a multiple listing service software. So I basically built from scratch about a 250 server data center. This is going back, 15 years. There were like 4 DS3s, all the load balancing stuff, Linux servers, Windows servers, you name it. That data center had everything. So that's where I got most of my knowledge. Maybe. I might have, Willie. I don't know. Can you say, I'll give you a yes or no if you give me the name of the company they're coming from. All right, so let's see. Can FreePBX clients communicate remotely employing Ubiquiti M5? If yes, is there a delay or voice quality? So again, when you're talking about running any voice over IP over wireless, over Wi-Fi at all, it's going to be completely subject to the quality of the Wi-Fi. Like if I had 2 buildings that were across the alley from each other and I was using a pair of NanoStation M5s to connect those buildings at like 300 megabit, then I've got no problem running voice over IP over that link, unless there's like 1,000 phones or something. But if there's just like, a handful of phones and they're trying to use a wireless link, then that's probably no problem. Now, if I've got 50 phones and I'm using an M5 to shoot it 10 miles away, and trying to make that connection work, it's iffy. It's probably not going to work so well. Rhymes with Ring Central. So no, I did not work for Ring Central, but I do know them well, and I love stealing customers off of Ring Central because they are such con artists as far as their pricing goes. Don't get me started. It's early on, and I'm not drinking. So if I do a live stream where I'm drinking, ask me about Ring Central, and I'll go for a little while. All right, so let's see. Let me get back to this view here. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm going to get through these questions. Have you seen the new Zyku series? I have not seen the new Zyku series. Is that I don't know if that's a phone or what. You probably, okay, so let's see. Here's a crazy question. Can you set up FreePBX server at home or home data center and install a DDWRT router at customer site and make it work for maintenance purposes? Well, I mean, I guess you can you can connect with a VPN or something. I don't know exactly what you're asking, but yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of architectures that work with FreePBX. The nice thing about it is it's just another network device, right? So if you kind of think of it in terms of just another, like a web server, right? A web server you can access from all over the place. You can open it up to the outside world. You can keep it internal, but access it through a VPN. It's the same thing with a phone server, right? It's just ports and and packets, right? So I would love to see more Ubiquiti installs, for example, real-world installation with repeaters and IP cameras. That's how I found your channel. Yeah, and I would love to do more of that stuff, CMF Soul, but I always have grand ambitions for these videos to get out there and get to a customer site and show what I'm doing, the whole time and all that sort of stuff. But in reality, I get to a customer site and I'm so busy I don't even have time to record anything. All right, so is it feasible to run FreePBX in a virtual environment, or do you need to run it on native hardware? You can absolutely run FreePBX in VMware, or whatever your VM of choice. I typically don't do that. So I mean, I work with a lot of customers that run in VM and they're fine, but I've got another customer last week that I installed their system, and they put it up on a VMware server and the audio was all choppy. And I kept telling the guy, I'm like, look, you probably got to give more resources to the server in terms of, CPU and RAM. Now, just like anything else, right, the FreePBX is only as good and only as reliable and only as solid as the infrastructure surrounding it, right? So if it's on a VM and the VM is crappy, your quality is going to be crappy, right? So for me personally, I don't like running production in VM. I like to do a physical server, or I guess I do VM if it's cloud hosted, because I use a service that does VMS boxes. But that's what they do. That's their service. So you're darn right that it's set up correctly. And that's really the problem, is people get into FreePBX and it seems like it's super easy to do, but nothing. I've always said that FreePBX, one of their they did themselves a real disservice by calling it FreePBX. Whoever came up with that name, right? I understand the marketing behind that and whatnot, but it's not free. And I think that when you say FreePBX, it gives people the mentality that it's a free phone system. Now, it's unbelievably cost effective compared to other phone systems that are out there. but it's not free, and it still has to be set up right, and you have to set yourself up for success in order for it to be successful, if that makes sense. So, okay. DDWRT has a SIP server functionality. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Reese? I haven't played with that, so I don't know what that is. What are your thoughts on star to star? I'm not sure what star to star is. Are you talking about, like, is that like that billing platform? I know there's like star to billing. And if that's what you're, oh, Rez. All right, Rez. Cool. Thanks, man. So yeah, I don't know if, I don't have thoughts on star to star. I just haven't played with it that much. And now I see, guys, for anyone who's watching this, I see my FPS and stuff going down a little bit. Not my FPS, but my connection. Oh, it's a hosted service. Yeah, I have not worked with star to star, so I don't have any opinion on it. Why am I getting weird upload problems right now? Hang on a second. Let me just, while I'm talking, I'm going to text my wife upstairs and make sure she's not streaming Netflix or anything. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay. All right, so I'm looking at my quality sort of jumping around a little bit. Any idea? All right, in the meantime, oh, there it goes. Now it's back up. Okay, let's see. Any idea why access points are not adopting onto a self-hosted cloud unified controller? They start adopting and then just disconnect. Michael, there's a you have to adopt it twice. And that's not something that you'll see all over the comments. But when you have a cloud-hosted controller, and I'm not sure if it's all the cloud-hosted controllers or what, but when you have the cloud-hosted unified controller, the process is set inform, right? You do the set inform command in SSH. It goes out, it connects, you hit adopt in unify, and it ends up getting to a point where it goes into disconnected status. And then you have to go back to the access point and run the set inform command again. And then when you do the set inform command the second time, it works. So that's something that that's probably what's happening, would be my guess, because I've had that same thing. Just block her device for now. No, we're not, Rez. We're not going to block my wife's devices. Okay, so, and I do have QoS running on this connection, so let's see if she wrote back. I wonder if she was streaming Netflix or something. I don't know. Okay, so let me get back into here. All right, so I'm going to get back into, okay, so I think my edge switch is configured. I've got it running from my edge switch, which is just sitting right over here, right over here on my desk. And then I've got it tough switch back here. So I've got it cross-connected to this tough switch. I just need to move the cable. Give me 1 second. All right, so I plugged into port 24 of the edge switch, which is plugged into port 1 of this tough switch. The tough switch is just completely untagged. I don't have any VLANs on there or anything. So I don't think I have to do any work in that thing. We shall see. So now let me go into my edge router. Oh, this is the tough switch. Let me go into my edge router. Oops. I have a Dell PowerEdge 1950 with quad-core CPU dedicated server. My question is whether I can register over 300 users on this server. I would say so. The more important thing, rather than how many phones you can register to a server, is how many concurrent calls are you running through it. Because a phone that's just registered to a server is taking like almost zero CPU and RAM, right? It just pings every 5 minutes or so just to check in, basically. But a phone that's in use is actually utilizing resources on the server. Oh, hang on. I should probably not expose my WAN IP to you guys. All right, so let's see. Okay, so in Unify, sorry guys, I'm going to do this in my second window for a second. Unify, no, in my Edge OS, I want to add a new VLAN, add interface, add VLAN. I'll just talk you through what I'm doing here. VLAN ID is 70, was it 75 or 76? Okay, VLAN ID, where did it go? VLANs. I think it was 76. Yeah, 76. Okay, VLAN ID 76. Interface is going to be ETH1. And IP address is going to be 192.168.76.1. Yes. /24. /24 is just an indication for a Class C subnet, or it's also known as 255.255.255.0. Okay, so we're going to save that. I now have VLAN. I have 192.168.76.1. I should be able to ping that because I don't think there's any blocking between it. Ping 192.168.76.1. Yeah, so I can ping that. And theoretically, that should be going all the way through to this switch back here behind me. Okay, let me close this out. Okay, let's check up on your questions here. Nice stream. What would you recommend hardware-wise for a 3 to 4 phone PBX setup for a home office? Anything. Anything. You can run that off of anything. I don't. So, you know, Steven's saying you could use the Raspberry Pi 3. You could use the Raspberry Pi 3 for 3 to 4 phones. It would work. 100% it would work. However, I've had problems with my Raspberry Pis where if they lose power, it completely wipes the SD card, or like it corrupts it or something. I've lost 2 complete phone system setups because of that. So if you're going to run it on Raspberry Pi, that's fine. But yeah, I would recommend having at least one spare backup of your entire little SD card. Yeah, Raspberry Pis are sensitive to power disruption, very sensitive. So yeah, that's the only problem that I've run. So let's put it this way: I would, if it's for home use or whatever, and you're just fiddling around with it, fine, put it on a Raspberry Pi and play with it. I would never run it in production like that, ever. Okay. So this phone system, oh, you know what I need is, let me go back to my Edge router, because I need a DHCP server for that network. So I'm going to do add DHCP server. This I think you guys can see, because it's not exposing my WAN IP. So we're going to call this the VLAN 76 DHCP. Subnet is 192.168.76.0/24, and we're going to give it 192.168.76.100 through 192.168.76.254. Now the router is 192.168.76.1. DNS1 will say 192.168.76.1. I'll have to add that interface in a second here. Backup DNS server 8.8.8.8. All right, let's save that. Yeah, you can watch the stream later. If you guys hang up, if you guys disconnect or whatever, this will be on YouTube. The full thing will be on YouTube later, so no worries there. All right, if I click DNS, I just want to make sure that my new VLAN is listening. Save that. What do I think of the company Fuse? Oh, what do you think to the company Fuse? I'm not sure what you mean, Fuse. Furs 2. Okay, so let's see. Noted, thanks. Can the endpoint manager in FreePBX manage... Oh, weird. A bird just, like, landed on my window. Okay, can the endpoint manager in FreePBX manage 7960 phones? I have a client in... Oh, my wife was running Pandora. That's what I think was messing up the stream. Weird that Pandora would do that. Pandora doesn't seem like it would take a lot, but I guess anyways. Okay, so let's see. Can Can the endpoint manager in FreePBX manage 7960 phones? I have a client on an old install of PBX and a flash that I'm upgrading to FreePBX this summer. Brandon, yes. The answer is yes. I believe so. We can take a look at that when we look at our endpoint manager. We should be able to see that we can add the Cisco brands. And also, I think if you go to the endpoint manager wiki page, I believe there's a listing of all of the compatible phones. All right, so Fuse PBX Enterprise, I don't know what that is. I've never seen it, so I don't have an opinion on that, unfortunately. Okay, so let's keep going here. Yeah, Ronan, go ahead and ask your question when you have a second. And okay, so there's my, let's see, I'm losing my track of what I'm doing here. So I should be able to, at this point, take my Sangoma Phone System 60, get it plugged in, and it should work by DHCP on that network. Okay, so here's my Phone System 60. Okay, so brand new in the box. Let me get this open. Google it. Yeah, I'll Google that. Yep, I sure will. Okay, so alrighty, so I've done a FreePBX Phone System 60 unboxing on my channel before, but so this, I'm not gonna, explain everything that's in the box or anything like that. But the second one's taped too. Oh, it's not taped. Okay, good. All right, let's see. Actually, I'd probably get up for this. Okay. So these FreePBX systems, they always come with the USB key that includes FreePBX on it. So make sure you don't lose that if you're opening one of these up. Little box of supplies and the ears for mounting it in a 1U rack or 19-inch rack and all that sort of stuff. And then here's the System 60 itself. Really small little compact form factor. It's got plastic on top. I'm just going to leave that on. And that's that. Oh, and it comes with a nice little quick start guide too. Okay. All right, power cord. Fancy knife. It's not a fancy knife. This is it's like a little butterfly knife. I think I bought it in Tijuana probably like 20 years ago or something. And I just use it for opening letters and boxes now. I don't think it's really even that sharp. You missed the manufacturer. So yeah, Willie, the manufacturer of this thing is Sangoma. They are the company that owns the FreePBX project. So I'm a Sangoma reseller. So like I try to keep all of my, I don't keep all of my sales in the Sangoma infrastructure, but it's nice to have the sort of like one throat to choke if anything goes wrong, So they have a good solid PBX. So I sell this to customers quite often. When I get into the more enterprise level, like 100 phones and above, I don't use Sangoma though. I actually have my own it's not a homebrewed server, it's like a Supermicro server, but I have one that I know is compatible and you get a lot more bang for your buck at the higher end. Alright, get this plugged in and turned on. Alright, so that's firing up. Let me get it plugged into the network. ETH0. Okay. Hopefully I'm not drawing too much power and it's going to screw up my UPS or something. Alright, I'm linked. I've got a link light on the system. Let me check in EdgeOS, see if I can actually see if it grabbed an IP address yet. No leases assigned. I'm pretty sure it might just take a second here. you guys can see what I'm looking at here. So I'm just I'm waiting for this thing to get an IP address. And if it doesn't, we'll have to figure out why it's not getting an IP address. I think these are DHCP by default. Let me double check that in the quick start guide. Yeah, all FreePBX appliances come with DHCP enabled on the server, so it will grab an IP address for you. I can also I suppose I can also SSH into it or something. Let me think. Do I have this wired right? Yeah. VLAN 76 into there. Untagged, VLAN 76 over to here, untagged into there. So it should work. These are always the kind of things that oh, there it is. Boom. Okay. So I was going to say, these are always the kind of things that on a live stream, the stupidest things don't work and makes me look like an idiot. All right, so let's get rid of this. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to scroll up and see if I miss any questions here. Okay, so let's see. Am I okay you let Ubiquiti remote into my PC using TeamViewer? I'm not sure what you mean, Michael. Let's see. I use Yealink phones on all new installs, but when I did that install 7 years ago, I got a great deal on Cisco phones. Yeah, I don't like Cisco phones. I very rarely work with them, and I never recommend them. Yealink phones are cheaper. They're 100% compatible with FreePBX. I standardize on Yealink because I love the Yealink phones. I set up call flow, but the recording for override mode is not playing when you call in. Oh, call flow control. Ronan, probably my best guess is what's happening is you have to check how you did that recording. Because if you did a recording that's not in the right format on FreePBX, it will allow you to use it, but it won't actually play the audio. So my guess would be that if the call flow control and everything is set up correctly, it's probably that the recording that you uploaded is just in the wrong format. And the format it needs to be in is 8-bit mono wave file. Do you play the guitars that are in the back? I do. I used to play guitar a lot more 10 years ago, 12 years ago, so I don't play them that often, but they're mostly decoration now. But I do know how to play guitar. Not spectacularly. Fans are a bit noisy. Is that noisy? If you guys can hear that fan noise, let me know. It's funny because I actually have a 24-port PoE switch that I have in the other room. That's so noisy that I never run it in this room even when I need to. And it's actually interesting. Let me show you guys this this thing that I just bought. I'm going to do a video on it soon, but I want to show this to you. Here, I'm going to go into this mode for a second. Monoprice. If you guys don't know about Monoprice, get to know Monoprice. But look at this. Monoprice has these PoE switches. Let me zoom this in a little bit. So look at these. So I just bought one of these, 60 bucks. It's an 8-port fast Ethernet, so it's only 10100, but I'm just going to be using it like here on this desk behind me for setups and stuff. But it's an 8-port fast Ethernet switch with 4 PoE ports. These are 802.3 AF, 4 ports of 802.3 AF. And just 4, regular fast Ethernet ports for 60 bucks. I was like, that's pretty good, and it's got 4 stars. Well, only one review, but 4 stars. So I ordered one of these. I'm going to test it out. I'm just curious to see how the 802.3 AF works. And I mean, for 60 bucks for a small little PoE switch for like a test lab or something, you really can't beat that price. They've got other ones too. Like if you wanted gigabit, they do have like gigabit ones. This one is for 99 bucks. This is 8 ports fast Ethernet where all 8 ports are PoE. And then this one is 8 ports gigabit where all 8 ports are PoE. Even that at 130 bucks isn't too bad. So you figure like right here, this is all PoE ports. And I'm not a reseller of mono price or anything. I just like their stuff because they're cheap, and they usually have pretty good equipment. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to scroll back through the comments. If I miss any of your comments, guys, I apologize. They are coming in a little quick, so... Okay, so let's see. Fans are noisy. Not that I'm going on about it, but it's supposed to be hot shit VoIP and IPPBX. It was formerly called thinking phones. Yeah, so again, I don't know anything about views. I'll look them up or something. Why use a server like this over something like a used R710? Well, it's a used server. I mean, okay, number one, you don't need an amazing amount of power for a phone system, right? You need the appropriately sized phone system. So a used 710, maybe it might be a little overkill. Second of all, computers, especially servers, every computer device out there has a mean time to failure, right? It's about 5 years. So I don't expect computer hardware to last longer than that, or I don't anticipate computer hardware lasting longer than that. So to me, if I'm selling someone a phone system, which hopefully will be in place for maybe 10 years, I'm going to put it on a brand new piece of hardware. I don't want to use used equipment for a phone system when the mean time to failure on a used piece of equipment is going to be a lot smaller, right? If you buy something, I mean, what if the motherboard goes out in 2 years just because it's past its mean time to failure? So I wouldn't do that. Again, for testing, for test environment, for a small installation, sure, that's fine. But yeah, if I'm selling a phone system to a customer, I always like to do brand new hardware because, my reputation's on the line too. I don't want to be selling them, some used something that I'm not sure if it's going to fail, quickly or not. Okay, so do you have any experience with Sangoma Phone System 10? I don't. I have not used one. If so, is it enough for 12 registered phones, no more than 5 to 6 concurrent calls? Yes, I think it's fine for that. Any deliver date on the Unify Amplify? No, I wish there was. I have not received any word since they took my $325 or whatever. Hi, just a little question. Has anyone going to fix the problem on new FreePBX 13 install? Running FreePBX at startup taking too long. Customize the chunk command. I don't know what you mean. Sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. Raz, you should make troubleshooting videos like real world application. Yeah, I did one not that long ago where my internet was down and I was troubleshooting it. But also keep in mind, guys, that I do this for a living. So if I give away all my secrets, people don't need to hire me. So, all right, so let's see. What hardware you recommend for above 300 extensions? So above 300 extensions, if you look on crosstalksolutions.com, you'll see the server that I recommend for that because it's a 1U Supermicro server. I see a lot of how-to videos, but not real-world problem video on how to solve it. I've made a couple of my own, just never uploaded any. Oh, you should upload them, man. Start getting into YouTube. Oh, look at this. I didn't know I had statistics down here. That's cool. All right. Okay, so let's see. Thank you for doing this, and your great answers, no problem. Okay. Okay, so let's go back. We saw that my IP address on the server was 192.168.76.100. Let's open that in our browser. There we go. So here's the initial FreePBX setup. So let's go ahead and put in a username. What am I going to use for password? This is for a new customer. I got notes on the side here. Make sure you guys can't see the password I'm putting in here. One moment, please. Bear with me. Okay. So, I thought that was a pretty good password. Okay, an email address, I will put my own email address. Okay, create account. Is this already registered? It might already be registered. Let's see, FreePBX administration. It's going to have me log in. I'll zoom this in a little bit too so you guys can see it a little bit better. If you're not using VLANs at 300 extensions, are you using a physically separate LAN? Are you asking me, or are you asking the guy that was asking about VLANs? I guess 300 handsets, not extensions, since they don't have to be the same thing. Yeah, so if I were, again, I don't think it really much matters as far as I'm concerned, like the way that I would, I probably wouldn't, well, I guess it depends on what's available. And because here's the thing about phones is that they often share their port, right, with the PC that's, that's connected. So it depends on the network and it depends on the environment. If I were going to set it up, I would probably prefer for 300, devices, I would probably prefer to have 2/23s, right? One for data and one for VoIP, and then set it up like I mentioned earlier, where you've got, the data VLAN, where if you plug it in, it's untagged on the data VLAN, and if you plug in a phone that's tagged on the VoIP VLAN, it's on the VoIP VLAN. So that way you can basically plug a phone or a computer in anywhere, and it should theoretically get on the correct VLAN. And if they're both /23s, you've got, 500 some odd IP addresses to play with in both networks. So that should be, that's probably how I would do that. Okay, so let's see. Thanks for installing FreePBX. Your machine is ownership to transfer the ownership of this PBX to your account. Yes, let's transfer. All right. I don't think, you know what, I'm going to do this, no offense, I'm going to do this in this other window, guys, because I don't know if this is going to display any personal information I don't want out there. Oh yeah, look at that. It displayed my home address. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to run through this registration real quickly, guys. Give me 1 second here. We're going to activate this FreePBX. Attempting to activate failed to restart Apache. That's nice. So we're running into a problem right off the bat. Okay, I hit apply. Let me try again. Activate. Okay, I just had to hit apply config first and then hit the activate, and it worked. Okay, so this is, of course, them trying to sell me stuff. This, by the way, guys, if you look at FreePBX, here, let me get this a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so this system right here, this commercial module bundle is so impressive for the value. $225, but you get the endpoint manager, which, I mean, I wouldn't install a FreePBX without the endpoint manager. You get the FreePBX phone apps, which are an amazing suite of applications, things that can be run on the phones themselves, things that are, you can do basically customized buttons for conference calling, parking, agent logins, agent managers, call flow control, visual voicemail, everything. You've got all these tons of different buttons on the phone. That itself is worth $225. Then you get the Sysadmin Pro, which gives you like the ability to do a lot of sysadministrative tasks, like run the back-end updates through the GUI. It allows you to set the email settings, like if you wanted to use an external SMTP server, it makes that super easy. And then extension routing. And extension routing is the thing I talked about earlier, where you can set up so that some extensions go out as one route and other extensions go out another route. Again, $225, you cannot beat that price. And I almost include it by default on every single one of my sales. Okay, so we're gonna go complete. I don't want to buy any of those. In fact, I think I already bought that for this. Okay, so here we go, guys. This is where we start to really get into it, and this is where FreePBX gets a little dicey. FreePBX 13 gets a little dicey. Let me just verify, though, what asterisk version I'm using. Reports. Oh, you know what? No, I want to go through this firewall wizard. All right, so this is the FreePBX firewall. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Okay, so the FreePBX firewall is actually really cool, but it's also a total pain in the ass to set up if you don't know how to do it, right? So I've spent a lot of time just figuring out what all the various settings do. So let's go ahead. The nice thing about the FreePBX firewall is that it automatically sort of blocks things. It basically sets itself up so that SIP is enabled. Now, I always recommend that your phone system is behind a firewall, right? But like if you ever have to actually expose SIP ports to the outside world, having the FreePBX 13 responsive firewall on and enabled is really going to help. So as I understand it, the responsive firewall opens up like the SIP ports, right? 50, 60, and 10,000 to 20,000 UDP. And what it does is it allows for unauthenticated traffic, it allows just a trickle of traffic to get through, right? And it analyzes that traffic to see if it's malicious or not. And if it's malicious, it blocks that IP. And if it's, if it authenticates successfully, it then is allowed to come through. So it's kind of a nice way to do like a SIP firewall, sort of, but it's definitely recommended. Okay, so there we go. So Sangoma Smart Firewall is a revolutionary open source blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're going to say next, we're going to enable this firewall. Should the client you're using be trusted? Yes, that's my computer here. That's fine. Okay, the network you are currently using. Oh, you know what? This is also going to expose my WAN IP. Hang on a second here. The network you are currently using isn't trusted. If it's a known secure network, add it to the trusted zone. Give me 1 second. I'm going to move this over here so I can say yes, because I think the next question is going to say, okay, so the next question just says enable responsive firewall, yes or no. I'm going to say yes. Automatically configure asterisk IP settings, yes. Okay, I just don't want it to actually show my WAN IP, so let's see. Okay, so it didn't. Good. So thank you for installing FreePBX. I don't want SipStation. No, thank you. And now we should be good to go. Okay, welcome to FreePBX. There we go. Okay, 97 tampered files. What is that? Module. Oh, yeah. Signed by an invalid key. I actually just ran into this not that long ago. I just ran into this over the weekend. I guess there's a GPG key that comes with FreePBX that is now expired, and you have to renew it or update it. Darn it! I should have saved the link that fixed that. Did I save the link that fixed that? I'm trying to think if I actually saved that or not. Let me look in my. Hold on, bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm going to look in my. Let's see. No, I did not save it. All right, so I need to find that again. Let's see. So it was FreePBX update GPG key. Then I'll do a search from the last month. Let's see, past month. 7 days ago. I think this is it. Yep, this is it. Okay, so GPG key on the system has expired. So this is likely because I'm using an... Oh, thanks, Chris. Look at that. Did I close my... I'm streaming, right? Can you guys see me okay? Check, check, check. My the YouTube window shows an error has occurred on the preview, so I can't tell if it's actually streaming right now or not. But yeah, let's see. So Chris works for FreePBX. Let's see right here. So here's the command, and this is exactly the one that I just saw from Brian Walters as well. So okay, you guys can see me. Wonderful. All right, so let me pull up PuTTY. Give me 1 second. 192.168.76.100. Yes, and we're going to say root, and did it set my root password, or is it the default? It should be the default, and the default root password is Sangoma. Okay, so here's the default. We're logged in. Let me change my font so you guys don't go blind. Let's see, change settings. Appearance, change. Let's make it 18-point font. Let's see how that works. That's still not that great. I'm just looking at it on the size of the window here. Here, let me try this. It's a little bit better. Let me change it even higher. .24 font? Alright, that's a little bit better. Alright, there we go. So, Chris, let me ask you, is that something that's going to be, like, fixed, or is there a way to, you know, is it just anything that's kind of older is going to have that problem for a while? Because I'm guessing that, you know, this phone system 60's probably been sitting in a warehouse for, you know, who knows how many months, and you know, provisioned and ready to rock and roll, and then they bring it out and it's got an old GPG key. So, okay, so let's see here. Sudo asterisk isn't it sudo -u? Yeah, sudo -u asterisk gpg -- refresh firewall rules corrupted. Alright, I'm gonna have to do an update anyways. Refresh -keys -- key server pool.sks -key servers.net. Invalid option U. Hang on a second, let me look at this actual command that sudo -u asterisk gpg -- refresh keys. I think that's where I screwed up. -- key server pool.sks key servers.net. Let's see. Sudo. Oh, I did -h. Boy, I don't typo things this much typically. It's just when I'm being watched by 35 people. Alright, here we go. Okay, so boom, boom. Looks like that worked. Firewall service is restarting. We have lost the SSH password for FreePBX system, but we can still get into the FreePBX setup items. Is there any way to change the SSH password now? So if you lost your root password, I don't know. Probably what I would do is maybe contact Shmooze support directly and see if they have a way to get you in there. Okay, so hopefully I can go back here. I might have to do an apply config or something. No, so I still have 97 tampered files. Let's see. What does this mean? Let's see if I can... I'm sure I can update now. It seems like it's probably fine. AMA refresh signatures. No, that's old school. And portal, that's old school. Alright, well, let's just do this. Let me try to do a... Do I have to do an FW console chown or something? Let's try that. So FW console chown, as I understand, basically fixes any potential permissions problems in the FreePBX. I don't like that it keeps saying firewall rules corrupted. Reboot. Yeah, I think I can get away without having to reboot. We'll see. Okay, so there we go. Wait, what happened? Did it finish? Shoot, I wasn't watching. It must have. Alright, so let's go FW console restart. Okay, so here we go. The base OS for this system is CentOS 6, I believe. Okay. Alright, so that should be better. Let's look at our dashboard now. I still have a security warning, and it still says 97 tampered files. All right, Wesley, thank you for joining. Yes, I'm looking forward to the FreePBX 13 series as well. It's one of those time-permitting things, and I just have not found the time. Let's try to update our modules, and if this doesn't work, then per Corona, I am going to reboot the system. Yeah, look at this. Oh, look at these are all like, module has been signed with an invalid key. Gosh, I really don't like this problem. All right, well, let's just check online, see if we can update all of these. You know what? Let me read a little bit further in here. So that did that. That worked perfectly. Sudo da 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 da. Oh, here's Rob. Sudo. Okay, so he did the same thing. Yeah. No. So that's. It doesn't say you have to do like an FW chown or anything like that. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to my FreePBX. Check online. Show only upgradable. Let's see if it'll upgrade them. And then I'm not sure how to make that error go away for the rest of them. I mean, they're fine. No problem, Furs. So AmpPortal, I did an FW console chown res. Which is the sort of FreePBX 13 version of AmpPortal chown or whatever. Oh, Andrew's here. Hey, buddy. FW console MA list online. All right, I'll try that next. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to write that down because I'm probably going to run into this again. So the GPG key import was this, sudo -u. And Andrew, you have to do the GPG key import first, and then do FW console MA list online. Or does the FW console MA list online take care of everything? You shouldn't have to do that. Okay. All right, cool. Well, that's really good to know. Thank you. Okay, so this is downloading, guys. I shouldn't probably be running updates while I'm doing a live stream because it might screw up my internet connection, but you guys let me know. Okay, FW console MA list online does the GPG commands in the background. Okay, wonderful. All right, so that's just really good to know. So I will try that next. After this finishes doing its updates, I will do that. In the meantime, let me pull out one of these phones because I'm going to have to set it up pretty soon. Here I've got a T46G. I had already unwrapped it, but this is brand new out of the box. Okay. Handset. I do love these Yeeling phones, and this T46G is probably one of my favorites. You know what I just realized? So this T46G, take a look at this. This thing has this USB port on the back. And that's for, they make, I think it's called the BT40. It's just a little USB Bluetooth dongle that can go on the back of that, and then you can connect up this phone to like a Bluetooth headset. And I just realized while I was unboxing this and looking at that, that I ordered something like 21 of those BT40 Bluetooth dongles, and I don't think I received them for a customer. I'm going to have to get that sorted out. Okay, close that down. So these things have the cable for the handset. One of them has a really long end and one of them has a really short end. You guys see that? It's from where it connects. The long end goes in the back because it gets routed through this cable management on the back of the phone. Whoop, right here. See this little cable raceway or whatever. Alright, so there's one phone. Okay, looks like my... There we go. Looks like my stuff is done here. I'm going to hit return. And apply config. And it looks like... It looks like that error might have gone away. Let's see here. Reloading. Let's go back to my dashboard and see if I still have those errors. Trusted interface detected. All right, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, well, it looks like those errors are gone. So whatever I did and then, reloaded it or did the module updates or whatever, it seems to have fixed that problem. So I'm not going to run the FW console MA list online, but I will do that next time I run into this. Okay, so default bind port. Did I already check if this is asterisk 11? Let's see. Asterisk info. Good. Asterisk 11. I know the developers of FreePBX swear by asterisk 13, but man, I have so many problems with asterisk 13. I just can't do it. Always FreePBX 13 asterisk 11. Like, I love the FreePBX 13 interface, but I have too many problems with PJSIP to standardize on asterisk 13 yet. Okay, so let's see. Wasn't there something with a false signatures in setting you have to choose a false or true? I forgot. Just don't use asterisk 11.22. Don't use that. Don't use that version. Use 20ish or lower. Well, I haven't had any problems. Why would you say don't use that? Because that's the version I'm running. Why do you say don't use this one? Because this one seems like that one always seems like it's been kind of okay to me. Interesting. Well, I'll wait for the answer, but yeah, because I've always used 11.22 and I haven't had any problems with it. There's a queues bug in 11.22 which will cause a segmentation fault. Oh, I didn't know that. Is that something that's like, is it just, it's an inherent asterisk thing, or do you guys have like a fix coming out for it or anything like that? Interesting. Well, this system isn't going to have any queues, so I'm just going to push forward with 22. Okay, so the first thing that I do, just so you guys know, and I think this was already done, is when I'm setting up a brand new FreePBX, I come over here to Settings, and I go to asterisk SIP Settings. Now again, I'm not going to click on this because it's going to expose my WAN IP, but I click on asterisk SIP Settings, and then you basically auto-detect the NAT settings, or I verify that they've been detected. So when you go through the Firewall wizard, it should automatically detect your, whether you have a WAN IP, whether your network card is directly on the internet, whatever, and it should set up your NAT settings appropriately. So I believe the Firewall wizard does that, but if the Firewall wizard doesn't do that, or if you turn the firewall off, you come into asterisk SIP Settings and hit the detect button, and it does the same thing. Okay, so Andrew says it's fixed in source of asterisk, but they have only released a version with the fix for 13. It's in 11, but in head, not released yet. Okay. All right, so it looks like they're going to hopefully fix that at some point. I haven't had the same problem. I haven't experienced that, but I know now that I know about it, thank you. I will keep an eye out for that. What do you think about update asterisk 12 with FreePBX 12 to asterisk 11 and the latest FreePBX? What do you think about update asterisk 12 with FreePBX 12 to asterisk 11 latest free? I don't know if you're asking about like, what do I think about upgrading asterisk version 12 to there's so many versions. What do I think about upgrading FreePBX 12 to FreePBX 13? I think I've done the wizard multiple times, probably a handful of times for less than 5, and it's worked every time for me. But I also only use official FreePBX distros, so it seems the upgrade path from 12 to 13 seems to work very well for the official FreePBX distro, and I don't have any knowledge about a homebrewed upgrade or anything like that. So okay, so we're going to kill out of some of these errors. We don't need any of these. Let's go set our time zone. So let's go to settings, advanced settings. Hopefully I'm not exposing any passwords or anything here. I forget. Well, there's that password. Asterisk manager password, but this is not going to be exposed to the internet anyways. Okay, so here's the time zones. So United States, North America. Wait a minute. Oh, that's country indication. Sorry, that's not what I'm looking for. There's like a PHP. Here it is. No, default language. No, here it is. PHP time zone. And you have to actually get the right thing. And it is, let's see, PHP. I always look this up. Time zone. List of supported time zones. Asterisk 12, end of security, fixed window, 12/20/2015. End of security. Asterisk 12, end of security, fixed window. I'm not sure what that means. All right, so let's see. We're going to find our time zone, America. I think Los Angeles is in here somewhere, so we just have to copy this. Copy. And paste. Oh, I added in my field history. Okay. So Michael, I breezed through the FreePBX firewall setup because I realized that it was going to expose my WAN IP. But when I do FreePBX 13, I'm going to be doing a video series on setting up FreePBX 13 shortly. Again, I'm hoping to start this week. If not this week, probably next week. And I think it's like video number 2 in that series is going to be like an in-depth how to set up the FreePBX firewall. Because it is a little bit tricky and there's a lot to it. One of the things, though, that I really like about the FreePBX firewall is that if you screw something up, if you lock yourself out of it, you just have to reboot the machine twice in a row. And if it reboots twice within 5 minutes, it keeps the firewall off for 5 minutes so that you can then go in and hopefully fix any mistakes before it kicks back on again. So that's kind of a really cool feature that they built in. If the firewall isn't enabled, then I can register a client. So again, it's a little complicated, but if you go into the phone system, the FreePBX phone system, or the FreePBX firewall, if your ETH0 interface or whatever your network card interface is in the external zone, you have to make sure that that's also allows for SIP. You can send a beer onto my channel. If you go to my channel page, there's a link to buy me a beer, and I will drink it. I promise you that. Okay, so let's get started. So what's the first thing we want to do when we set up a new phone system is we want to set up some extensions. Oh, I know what I can do. I want to do, I want to set up option 66 on my edge router VLAN. So let's do that next. New session. Let me pull this over here. Okay, so here's my edge router. Let me do my settings. Okay, so edge router. Let me do this instead. This will make it a little bit bigger for you guys to see. So if I want to add option 66, I'm going to try. I usually look this command up, but I'm trying to memorize this command. So I'm going to try to do it without looking it up. Let's see. Okay, no one help me, by the way. Configure. Okay, and we want to say service DHC. Or is it set service? Set service DHCP server shared network name VLAN 76 subnet 192.168.76.0/24 Sure. TFTP server name. I'm there. 192.168.76.10. Oh, and I have to set this FreePBX to that IP address. Okay, so basically set service DHCP server shared network name VLAN 76 subnet 192.168.76.0/24. TFTP server name is set to 192.168.76.10, which is what I'm going to set the IP address of this phone server to in just a second. So commit and save. Okay. So let's bring this over here. And now let's go to admin, system admin. Let me double check my licenses first. I want to check activation. Okay, so here we have the System Builder Basic, Endpoint Manager, Extension Routing, REST Apps, sysadmin, everything's in there. Everything looks good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Oh, intrusion detection. We want to set up our intrusion detection. What version of EdgeMax is running on the Edge router? It's 1.8, Willie. Okay, so intrusion detection. I have not updated to 1.8.5, nor have I actually watched your video on that yet. I did look at the release notes for 1.8.5, though. Okay, so intrusion detection is basically like, let's block, bad guys out from the server. So by default, what this means is you've got your retries. I keep getting a ding. I don't know if you guys are hearing that or if that's coming across. Where's that ding coming from? Is that coming from... Oh, it's coming from here. Firewall service is now starting. So my firewall service, for whatever reason, keeps restarting over and over and over and over. All right, well, I'm going to at least kill out of here for now so that I'm not getting that ding every 1 minute. Okay, so... By the way, if one of the FreePBX guys knows why my firewall keeps restarting like that, I think it said something about firewall rules corrupted or something like that. Do I just need to like restart the service, or I don't know. Anyways, okay. So again, this is a fresh out of the box phone system 60. The GPG key thing I can understand because it expired, but like firewall should work right out of the box. Okay, so intrusion detection is basically like, here's your whitelist of IP addresses, in which case like I want to put my local subnet as well as the local subnet that this server is going to be in. So 192.168.200.0/24 is my local LAN subnet. Oh, so I do still have to do the list online. All right, I'll do that in a second here. And then the subnet that the server is sitting in is 192.168.76.0/24, and this customer also has 192.168.75.0/24. So I want to make sure I whitelist all of their LAN networks, etc. And also I would whitelist my WAN IP address as well, just in case I'm going to be connecting from remotely or remote phones or anything like that. I'm not going to do that here, obviously, because I don't want to show it. Now, what this shows is band time, max retry, and find time. So what I do here is I set this to 300. These are my defaults, 3 and 3600. So what this is going to do, firewall depends on GPG keys not being broken. Okay, sorry. Here, let me show you guys. So thank you, Andrew. I will try that next. Let me just set the, I'm going to set the intrusion detection, then I'm going to go do that command. Hey, Joe John, repeat. All right, so let's see. So what this means is if a bad guy is trying to get into my server and trying to authenticate, like either with SSH or with SIP, they have 3 retries. You can basically try 3 times within 5 minutes to authenticate. And if you fail 3 times, we're going to block your IP address for an hour. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and save those settings. And now let me go back to... I had closed out my PuTTY window. New session, 192.168.76.100. Log in as root Sangoma. I should probably change that password. Let me get the font up again so you guys can see it. 24. Okay. Apply. There we go. That's a little bit better. Let me see how that looks on the open broadcaster. All right, that's pretty good. Let Go back to this view, make it a little bit bigger. All right, and now FW console MA list online. No repos specified. Using standard commercial from last GUI settings. That's fine. It's doing something. I'm here to learn about FreePBX. I found this on Google and said YouTube to come here. Well, welcome. Okay, so let's see. Enabled and up to date. Okay, so that basically looks like it goes through all of our modules. Let's see what that did. It doesn't really say what it does, but it listed all my versions and whatnot. Okay, and now let's do FW console restart. So the firewall's still griping at me, but hopefully after this restart it'll be all good. Check interface assignment, firewall zones interfaces as well. It should be set to internal in your case. Oh, is that right? Because I usually set the NIC to external zone. Hang on, let's see. I'm getting advice from the FreePBX guys here. So I usually set the, when I'm setting it up, I usually set the, even if I'm on a LAN IP address, I usually set the firewall zone of my LAN interface to external, and that seems to work for me pretty well. FW console reload. Well, let's see. It doesn't seem to be griping about the firewall anymore. So I'm going to leave this up, and if I hear it chiming, I will know that it's still griping. But I think that worked. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard, make sure everything looks good. And again, I'll do a full in-depth firewall video. Could not connect to asterisk. Hang on a second. It's probably just taking a second. Is asterisk running? Let's see. Oh, asterisk is not running. All right, FW console reload. One error have occurred. The following is the retrieve conf output. Unable to connect to asterisk manager. Aborting. Retrieve client conf on line 13. Well, we've successfully broken the server. Thanks, Willie. All right, let me try that again. FW console. We don't need to do the AMA list online or the MA list online. Let me do FW console. Or was it restart? Yeah. Yeah, restart. We'll just try this again. Oh my gosh. Hey Thomas, AMP portal restart is actually for FreePBX 12, so it's sort of the older version. The newer version of AMP portal restart is what we're doing here, which is what Chris just mentioned, the FW console restart. So let me go back here, make it a little bit bigger for you guys. All right, setting permissions, here we go. I wasn't watching it last time, so I didn't see if it like failed through here somewhere. Okay, so go, 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 go. 75%, 90%. Dottie started, restarting fail to ban, updating license information, starting asterisk. Asterisk started. Firewall service now starting. Okay, that looks better. Asterisk, RVVV. Yep, good, good. All right, I'm going to put this in the corner. Nobody puts asterisk in the corner. All right, and let's keep going. Dirty Dancing reference check. Okay, so dashboard. Retrieve conf failed, config not applied. All right, well, let's try something else. Let me just check my module, see if I can do an update. I heard that my firewall was cranky, so I turned up too. Your firewall's fine, Rob. It's just being. I don't know if it's being flaky. It's just not cooperating because of that GPG key error. All right, let's see. I know who you are, Rob. All right, so anything upgradable? No. All right, nothing's upgradable. All right, let's go back to our dashboard, see if we're still getting that retrieve conf error. And we are. Config not applied. Firewall configuration. Maybe I got to go through. All right, I'm going to try to go through this firewall config. I'm going to do this off camera for a second, guys, because I want to, because again, I don't want to expose my WAN IP address. Okay, so I'll talk through what I'm doing. I'm clicking on zones, interfaces. I've got all of my interfaces in the trusted zone currently. I've got my networks. I've got 200.0 in trusted zones. I'm going to put 192.168.76.0/24 in a trusted zone. And I'm going to put 192.168.75.0 in a trusted zone, just to cover all of my bases for the network that I'm putting this into. I don't need anything in blacklists. Interfaces. ETH1 and ETH2 I am going to reject because I don't need those on at all. And I've got ETH0 in the trusted zone. Now, I'm going to move ETH0 out of the trusted zone. Oh, hang on a second. Sorry, I just got back to the comments. Okay, so FreePBX developer party. Retrieve conf has an error because you ran FW console reload when asterisk was down. I think you'll be good once you run FW console reload. All right. So ETH0, I'm making external. Yes, Rob, I'm doing that right now. And this isn't actually exposing my IP. So we can see here what I did is I made ETH1 and 2. I rejected anything coming in on those because nothing's plugged into them. I don't want anyone to be able to plug anything into them. And ETH0, I'm going to move from trusted to, well, let me go through my services real quick. This already, Rob, you got to know that this gives me anxiety every single time I move an interface into the external zone because I've locked myself out of this firewall enough times that it gives me anxiety every time I try to do it. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here for now. Let me go just double check my services, because services, this I want on. Right? Let's see. Services are assigned to zones that... Oh, it doesn't matter if I open up SSH external, right? Because I'm in my network is a trusted zone, right? So even if this is not turned on external, which I probably don't want it on external, I'll still be able to get to the system because my whole network is in a trusted zone. Okay, same thing with web management, SIP protocol, chan SIP. I'm leaving... So everything's internal or in trusted zones only. And now I think we're good. Extra services, we don't care about any of that. All right, we're going to trusted bypasses everything. Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so and here we go, guys. Roll the dice. I am going to switch my interface, ETH0. Oh, I didn't change the IP address yet. Let me do that first. System admin. I don't want to switch on the firewall until I change that interface. All right, network settings. Make sure. Sorry, I just want to. I don't want to expose my WAN IP. Okay, so there we go. So static, and we're going to do 76.10 instead. Save interface. Save and apply. All right, so now I got to change my URL. I think I can just go ahead and do it now. Come on. Thank you guys for joining while we're waiting for this, by the way. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks to the FreePBX devs for being here. Awesome. There we go. Okay, so I'm back in at .10 now. What password did I use? All right. Okay. Why would you change your URL, Rob? I changed the static IP address of the of ETH0. Okay, so retrieve conf failed, config not applied. Let me try to do the FW console reload. See if I can get rid of that error. Second try. Every time I run FW console restart or reload, I get a front restart. It'll take too long. Customize the chunk command. Okay. All right. So let's see here. All right. So. Oh. I got to connect to the. This has to be on a different IP too. All right. Putty. 192.168.76.10. Root. Sangoma. I will change that password, guys. Don't try to hack into this server. All right, so let's see. Change settings. Appearance. Change 24. Okay, apply. There we go. Make that a little bit bigger. So in order to look at the date and time, yeah, you're right. Okay, so, well, hang on a second. So if I hit dashboard, let's just look here. All right, so it says, I don't see, oh, 8 minutes, 46 seconds ago. Okay, you're right. So I'm going to do that anyways, just for good measure. FW console reload. And then, once we reload, I am going to, there we go. Okay, successfully reloaded. Now I'm going to put, make sure we got asterisk back. Yep, good. I'm going to put my stuff into that trusted zone. So here we go. Firewall. Zones. Interfaces. External. Check. Dashboard. I think I'm good. Yep, looks like I'm good. No retrieve conf error. Beautiful. All right, so I am all good at this point, and now we can start configuring. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to configure the endpoint manager so that I can get this T46G behind me fired up and working. So, settings, endpoint manager. The first thing I want to do is set the global configuration, and I'm going to do that off screen for a second because I think it also displays my WAN IP address. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, good. So you actually have to put that in. So internal IP address 192.168.76.10. That's the IP address of the FreePBX. Now notice this also, if you look down here in your endpoint manager settings, this throws people off a lot because when they successfully connect to endpoint manager, FreePBX changes your admin password for the phone. So you guys see that right there? So by default, it's 222222. And then some phones have a user password, like these Incom ICW 1000Gs. Those have, that's right, Andrew. Those have a user password as well. So some phones will use both of these. Most phones just use the admin password, but that's where you can set it if you need to. Okay, so now we're going to go over here. By the way, and I cannot... we're adding a new brand of phone. We're adding Yealink. And I cannot stress to you guys enough how important it is to have the endpoint manager installed and working. The commercial endpoint manager. Screw that OSS bullshit. You want this commercial endpoint manager on your FreePBX, or else you're totally blowing it. And I'm not just saying that because there's like 5 FreePBX devs here. I 100% believe that. This thing is only 75 bucks, and it saves you more time than you can possibly imagine in terms of IT administrating however many phones you have. I mean, if you only have 5 phones, this thing is worth 75 bucks. Okay, so let's go here. Template name, we're going to call this T46G internal. We're not going to make it a default anything, but we want to go to our internal address. Oh, did I not save that? Hang on a second. I might not have saved my... hang on, I'll do that in a second. Andrew wrote the OSS endpoint manager originally. Yeah, well, and apparently he's still working on it, but now he's doing the commercial one, right, Andrew? I think that's the argument online. 10. We'll just set it. Normally, so I forgot to save my global settings. Normally, if I just click internal, though, it'll pull up the IP address that I put on the global settings. All right, so time zone -8. We don't care about any of this. Background image, this is kind of neat. If you guys have, if you have like a phone like this T46G that has a nice like full color display, you can just upload a background image like a logo and then just select it right here. I'll show you where to do that. Like if you come over here, oh, it's off the, oh yeah, image management right here. So if you go into image management and upload an image, it has to be in the right pixel format. So like if you look up like phone type background image, you'll find that like the pixel format for the T46G is like 400 by 240 or something goofy like that. I know you didn't work on the commercial endpoint manager, Andrew. I'm just goofing around because of the FUD that gets thrown around online by certain people. Okay, so firmware version, we haven't done firmware yet. I'm going to come back to that in a second. For config style, I want to say v70 style. Provision server address, if I had internal IP address set, it would have done this automatically. Let me pull up there's stuff going on in the comments here. But provision server address is going to be 192.168.76.10. And then we're going to save everything we've done so far. Now, the next thing I want to do is go to my firmware management. So if I come over here and I say firmware management, I'm going to add, so I'm going to say Yealink, and then I'm going to add a new firmware. So these are the available firmwares that I have to choose from. And then we've got slot 1 and slot 2 that I can use in my templates, right? So if I take the latest firmware, 1.13, I put it into firmware slot 1, it's all of these versions for the phones, right? So if I see like the T46G, for instance, is going to be firmware version 28.80.0.95. Okay, so that being said, if they came out with a new version of firmware, like 1.14, I could put that into slot 2. And then that gives me the ability to like put a small handful of phones on the new firmware just to test them and make sure that it's not going to, you know, blow up my whole phone system. So I know that 1.13 works for the Yealink, so I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And now what happens, since I've selected the 1.13 firmware, this is actually pretty cool. Behind the scenes, FreePBX is now downloading that firmware from whatever repository, and it's going to put it in place. And so that when it gets time for these phones to actually reboot, and I'm getting a little lag going on my connection right now, I can see it. That's probably because it's downloading a big firmware file in the background. But anyways, then I can go back to my template that I set up. So Yealink. And here's my T46G internal template. And I can say, what firmware version do I want? I want to use the firmware in firmware slot 1. Okay? So then it'll update the phone accordingly. Now, since I've done that, well, let me save that. Save. Let me go through these comments real quick here. Let's see. So Andrew doesn't work on the commercial endpoint manager. We know that. Let's see. Matt, I agree about the endpoint manager, but I just had a client with Cisco SPA phones and OSS works about 5,000 better. I hate to say. Okay, well, again, I'm not here to argue about which endpoint manager is the best endpoint manager. I just know that the commercial one is. All right, so let's see. Rob, so we'll do this every time. No, that's someone else. Let's see. Adam, it does a chone every time you start FreePBX. Yes. I'm not too late. No, Richard, we're probably about halfway, just over halfway through the live stream right now. I'm going to live stream till 4 p.m. Pacific time. Oops. Let me scroll up again. There we go. All right, so we don't think it's an issue because you shouldn't be restarting your server a lot often. Richard, does FreePBX have a TFTP server built in? Yes, it does. I've been testing your server. Thanks, Rob. Richard, it's not FreePBX, but FreePBX distro, the OS, does have a free... Oh, okay. So, yeah, if you use the distro, you get a TFTP server by default. And that's just /TFTP boot. So if you're in the back end here, exit out of asterisk, cd/TFTP boot. And I'll show this to you as well. So there's some Yealink files. But look, this is the files that come by default. Now notice that there's no MAC-address.xml file for a Yealink phone. That's going to be created in a minute when I set this one up. 7:46 a.m. in Australia. Where are you in Australia, Rob? Where are you near? All right, so let's see. Okay, so I'll come back to this in a second here. So here's my template so far. We've got all this stuff sort of set up already, and now we have to choose which phone types do we want to associate with this template. So you can do multiple phone models per template, but I always like to do one template per phone model. To me, just the way that it just makes more sense to me to do it that way. So that's why I always name it like T46G internal, right? So that means an internal phone that's a T46G. Internal being like the LAN as opposed to external on the WAN. Okay, so Brisbane. Yeah, I've been to Brisbane. Oh boy, 2004. I flew to Melbourne. I spent a few days in Melbourne. Then I flew to Sydney, and a buddy and I drove from Sydney all the way up to Brisbane, all along the coast, and we had a wonderful time. It was really cool. Okay, so let's see. T46G. Okay, so now here's the line keys. So notice I've got 10 line keys here, and these line keys correspond to the keys on the phone, right? These ones down the side like this. Okay? So just to start here, you can see all of the options, right? There's a million things you can do with these line keys. So I always start off with just a regular line key and a second line key, right? Just to have, most people don't need oh, it's Melbourne. Sorry. It's Melbourne. No, Melbourne. Okay. So line key and line key. And then there's a lot of other stuff you can do. So a BLF is like if you want to have presence for a different extension, like if I have extension 200 and I wanted to see when extension 201 is on the phone, I would do a BLF key for extension 201, and then when they pick up the phone and hang up the phone, I'll see like the light will light up red. Speed dial keys, all of these different things. Really, oh, here's hot desking for whomever was asking about hot desking earlier. Again, I haven't tried that, but it is in here. What I like though are these different XML applications, and I think these are them here, like Park. I think there's like call flow control should be in here. Wait a minute. No, it's XML API. That's what I want. So for the system, the FreePBX phone apps, which I love, you click XML API and you can make this a button. So here's a listing of all the apps. Here's call flow control. Like, I love the call flow control app because there are some businesses that don't like to work off of a schedule, right? They come in the morning and they take their phone system out of night mode, and then when they leave at night, they put it into night mode, right? And so that's what call flow control is good for. You can sort of switch the phone on and off. And when you have the call flow control REST application, it does a red light when it's in night mode, and it does a green light, or maybe it's off, when it's in day mode, right? So it's very easy. Instead of having to train a receptionist or someone that maybe isn't the most technically inclined person in the world, to have to train them like, okay, in order to turn it into night mode, you have to dial *280. And then make sure you remember to turn it on in the morning, blah, 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 right? It's just so much easier to use the FreePBX phone apps. You give them a button on the phone, and you tell them, if the light is red, press that button, and you're going to open the phone lines. When you go to close it at night, press that button again, and when the light turns red, you're in night mode, right? It's just so much easier for users to understand that, especially people that aren't so technical. And it also gives a visual indicator that, oh crap, I'm still in night mode and it's 10:30 in the morning, right? So it's just one example of the FreePBX phone applications. And I sound like a FreePBX salesman when I talk about this stuff, but I honestly really believe that they provide so much value to the system that it's almost like a default. Like, I almost just wish that I sell them by default on every system that I provision. Okay, so we're going to say save that model. And now we're going to save the whole template again. Okay, so let me scroll back through these comments a little bit. There's been comments flying by here. All right, so let's see. Melbourne. We have a 10-year-old Avaya system in our over. Planning on moving it over to a FreePBX box, but I'm a little scared. Get rid of that Avaya piece of crap. You don't need it. FreePBX is nothing to be scared of. Okay, so any old machine will handle that as long as it's less than 5 or so years old. That's exactly what I say, Rob. As long as you're within 5 years on the hardware, you're probably fine. Someone writing in... What language is that? Corona... We zitten bij elkaar in der Bert. Is that Danish? I've published a fix for framework that should resolve GPG issues in the future. Oh, wonderful. Okay, when stuff is broken and we know about it, we fix it. I say we, but I mean Andrew. Yeah, and that's true, by the way. Like just this morning, like even simple requests, like I found a little bug where if you put a, was it the endpoint manager? I don't remember. There was some place where if you put a space after the MAC address, it would take that space. I think it was the endpoint manager when you're setting it up. If you put in the MAC address and there's a space after it, it's going to create the file of the MAC address with a space character included. And I submitted a bug report about that, and they fixed it within like a couple weeks. So this stuff does work, guys. Local store at a quad-core 4 gig memory for a radar system around $300 US. Okay, so use system. RAID 0 is striping, RAID 1 is mirroring. Yep. About day-night mode, use time schedules. Yeah, no, I know. I'm usually, like 9 times out of 10, I use time schedule. I was just using it as an example. It's not everyone likes time schedules because not everyone has a business that operates on a very specific time schedule. Believe me, I've run across them. And they want call flow control instead. A very good example of this is a doctor's office that I set up recently. The doctor's office had 2 separate offices in 2 different locations, like, you know, they're about maybe an hour apart from each other, and the doctor would go back and forth between those 2 locations. So that's a good example of where call flow control is preferred to time conditions because they only opened the office that they were currently in, right? So that's a way that works. Okay. Okay. Dutch. That was Dutch. Gotcha. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So I've got this set up. Now let's go ahead and add our extension. I don't think I need to do anything else. And theoretically, we should be able to get the phone up and running just based on the endpoint manager and the fact that I put option 66 into the system. Okay, so let's go ahead and do applications, extensions. Let me check out my extensions, because I know he gave me a bunch of extension names and stuff. Okay, so this phone's going to be called Study. So new Chansip extension. Oh, you know what I want to do first? I want to disable iSymphony, because it always gives me crap when I'm creating extensions. Let's go to Module Admin. So iSymphony, if you guys don't know, iSymphony is a program that's like an operator console type program that comes with FreePBX. It's sort of built in with FreePBX. I don't think FreePBX doesn't develop it, but it's sort of, I guess they're sort of married to it. Here it is right here. So you can see in my module admin, I've got iSymphony. It's enabled. It's installed. I'm going to uninstall it because it just kind of gripes sometimes about extension changes if you haven't specifically done iSymphony changes. So I'm just going to uninstall that real quick. I do use an operator panel, but I don't use iSymphony. I personally prefer the Flash operator panel over iSymphony. It's cheaper, and to me, the usage is a little bit more intuitive. If you guys are interested, though, in operator panels, I've done videos on both. So I've done a video on iSymphony, and I've done a video on Flash operator panel in my YouTube channel. You can look through the history and then judge for yourself which one you like better. What are the specs of the Linux box he's running Asterisk FreePBX on? Are you asking about mine, Jim? So if you're asking about mine, this is a FreePBX phone system 60. I'll show you the specs right here. No, not Sangoma. FreePBX.org. Store, FreePBX appliances. And it's this one right here. So this is what I'm running on right now. So this is rated for 60 users or 30 simultaneous calls, which is usually conservative. I mean, certainly the phone system is not going to blow up if you have 31 calls. So quad-core Celeron, 60 gig SSD, 2 gig of RAM. Which this server is fine for most businesses that fit the size requirement, as long as they're not doing a ton of recording. If you start getting into a ton of recording, 60 gig SSD might be a little bit small. So I would typically at that point get them on to, like if they're doing a ton of recording, I'll get them on like a different server that's got a lot more storage space. Probably not SSD though, it'd probably be SATA. Okay, so let's go back here. I've uninstalled iSymphony. Look at our comments again. And let's go back to our extensions. Applications extensions. And I'm going to do, is this a little small? Let me see if I can zoom this in. All right, there we go. Add extension, Chan SIP extension. Actually, most of the time I just do quick create. It seems to work a little bit better. Okay, so this is extension 200. We're going to call this study. There's the SIP password right there. And then for this one, I'm not going to create a user account, so I'm going to say none. And then if we go over here, voicemail, I'm not enabling voicemail yet because the customer hasn't told me yet which extensions they want voicemail on. But if I come over here to other, here we have our endpoint manager. Okay, so we're going to say brand, Yealink. Then we've got Richard. Yes, this will be on YouTube when I'm done. Yealink MAC address is 001565A0E44F. Okay, and I just got that off the back of the phone. It's also written on the box of the phone. You know, so you can get the MAC address pretty much anywhere, or you can connect the phone up and just look at the status on the screen, and it'll show you as well. And the model of this phone is T46G, and we want it. This is going to be account 1. So the account is used for if you have multiple extensions on a single phone. Account 1 would be the primary extension, account 2 would be the secondary, and then you can use the endpoint manager to account for multiple accounts. Okay, so submit. And apply. Okay, so now, theoretically, if all goes well and I've set everything up properly, I should be able to plug this T46G in to the network. It should get its TFTP server information from DHCP option 66, and it should now have a configuration file associated with it. So if I look in here again, this is my TFTP folder, ls-la. Notice I've also got Yealink now, which should be the firmware. If I say cd Yealink cd1, this is now all my firmware files. So they've been downloaded and added to the TFTP server automatically by the endpoint manager. And if I look here, oh, well, that didn't help much. If I look here, I should now have MACaddress.cfg file for the phone that I just configured. Okay, and we can see the date was 1759. Is that right? No, that's not right. Interesting. Date. Date says it's 6 o'clock. Oh, Eastern time. Why is my time zone wrong? I thought I set my time zone. Maybe I didn't apply it. I might not have applied it. Anyways, okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, let's plug this phone in. I don't have a PoE switch in here that I can use that can power one of these phones, so I'm just going to use the power adapter. Okay. Hey, FreePBX guys, are any of you guys going to Astracon? All right. Plugged in the power. I want to plug in the network. think I could bring this all the way over here. Okay. All right, so phone says initializing. Oh, you know what I want to do? Here, watch this. Hopefully I can do this quickly. Nano-W. I want to set TFTP server logging to verbose so that I can actually see phones hitting the TFTP server log. Okay, so nano-W etc xinetd.d/tftp. And now we come down here, server arguments. We want to just add -vvv, control X, yes, enter, server, service xinetd restart. Tail-f/var log messages, grep tftp. Sorry guys, I know that went really fast, but I wanted to get that done before this phone boots up. So this phone is saying, oh shoot. Woo. Sorry, I unplugged it really quickly. And I think I know why it's saying network unavailable. I had it plugged into a port that was enabled for 24-volt passive PoE. Oh, it looks like it did get it. Hang on a second. Let me plug it back in. Just sorry, for a second there that scared me that I was I had the wrong type of PoE voltage plugged into the phone, so I didn't want to like hurt the phone. The phone looks like it's fine, but I'm going to plug it in now again. We did see that the phone actually grabbed an IP address. Look. So request from 76.101, so it did get its DHCP option 66 information. But let's see if I can't force it to go again. All right, I plugged it in. We should see it grab TFTP information from the TFTP server here. Oh, it actually got its time and everything already. So that's good. It looks like it's working. See status? It doesn't have an IP address right now. I might have to reboot this phone. Yeah, let me just reboot it. Power. Okay. Take two. Here we go. Okay, so Astracon, let's see. Oh, hold calls from old PBX. Can I just put hold another person to pick up a free PBX? What is it? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, so I'm in the U.S. until like 3 days before Astracon. Flights were literally $3,000 more expensive. Eesh. Yeah, don't pay that. And my wife and daughter's birthday are just after Astracon. If I waited until the flights were cheaper, I would have missed both and be divorced and disowned. All right, well, we see where your priorities are, Rob. All right, let's see. Astracon, yes. Me, Andrew, James, and Brian will be there. Oh, very cool. Maybe I can meet up with you guys. We grab beer or something. Astracon. Astenericon. Well, I'm going to be there for sure. I'll be there all 3 days. Just bumming around. Probably doing some videos and all that sort of good stuff. So this phone's booting up. It does say network unavailable when it first boots up. I have it plugged into the right port. Yes, I do. But it says network unavailable, but I know it's kind of working. Let's see what it does here. Oh, there we go. Now we got some information. So there we go. So look, it requested from, a request came in from .101 for file name macaddress.cfg, right? So it got its, it just downloaded its configuration file. And again, this is why I like setting these things up this way, because you know, I set it up. This was a brand new phone I just unboxed. I plugged it in, and it's getting its information. It just rebooted. Oh, firmware updating. See, look at that. Firmware updating. Ugh, I should not hold it like that. Firmware updating. Sorry, you guys are seeing my forest out my window here. So it's getting its firmware now. We can see it requested file name yalink/1t46.rom. That's the firmware file. It's installing the firmware. And then when it reboots, I imagine it's going to come up and register to the FreePBX, which we should do that next, is watch it register to FreePBX. Okay, so we should, if I do sip show peers right now, we can see that 200. Let's see, expand this out a little bit. Extension 200 is currently offline, basically, unspecified host, unknown status. And what we'll see is, once the firmware updates, we'll see it actually register to the server. Okay, Chris does love his beers, that is true. I think your DHCP server, I think your DHCP server is broken. Don't be talking to me about my DHCP server. Do lots of people buy you beers through YouTube? I've had a decent amount of people, probably not a lot. I get maybe $10 to $20 worth of fan funding donations on a monthly basis. I think that's wonderful. But it's certainly not my primary source of income. Oh, sorry, Rob. Now you withdrew that. I jumped off the. I flew off the handle a little bit there. All right, so we're still updating the firmware. While we're updating firmware, let's go ahead and add a second extension. I'll show you the quick create this time. No, I take that back. I'm just going to do a regular extension. Okay, so Chan SIP extension. The second extension is going to be pastry. I don't know why it's called pastry, but pastry. I don't need a user for this one. And if we go to other, so I'm going to take a phone that's still in the box. Oh, by the way, this is initializing. Let me get back to the other screen. We should see this register in just a second here. Here I've got another T46G. This is brand new in the box. What beers do I like? Oh, that's a great question. I like microbrews, and I like a good IPA. That's kind of like where I am right now. Like that's like my favorite sort of beer. Like I know a lot of people like stouts, or a lot of people like lagers or whatever. I tend to go for IPAs first, unless I'm feeling in a different kind of mood. Like if it's cold outside, wintertime or something, maybe I'll get a nice stout. But yeah, I mostly like IPAs, and I like microbrew IPAs. Like I live in Oregon. You got to understand that in Oregon, like beer is like everywhere, right? There's all sorts of microbrews out here, so it's really easy to get our hands on them out here. I also live like very close to the Rogue Brewery. If you guys have ever had Rogue beer, it's really, really good. Oh, Raz is down in San Diego. Down in San Diego, they've got Stone Brewing. Stone Brewing makes some really good beers. We like them. Yeah, IPA City, absolutely. Rob likes a beer called Jameson Irish Whiskey. Yeah, they only sell that in little bottles if you're on an airplane. Pinner from Oscar Blues. I haven't tried that. If you guys like drinking microbrews, there's an application on your smartphone called Untapped. Boom, there we go. Look, phone just registered. Pier 200 now available. So this phone just came up. We can see on the phone I've got two extensions, 200. If I hit it, I dial like 0. I get nothing, but it is connected. So let's try. I can't do star 97 either, the messages button, because I don't have voicemail in this box. But
comedian mail mailbox.
Yeah, so it is connected to the phone system, which is good. Okay, so extension 200 is up. Oh, you know what? Where's my labeler? I always like to label everything. Do I not have my labeler? It must be in my car. All right, well, I'm going to use my Post-it labelers so that I can write extension 200 on here, because I'm going to disconnect it in a second. Actually, you know what? I won't disconnect it yet. Oh, star 43. All right, sorry, guys. Star 43.
You are about to enter an echo test. In this mode, everything you say will be repeated back to you just as soon as it is received. The purpose of this test is to give you an audible sense of the latency between you and the machine that is running the echo test application. You may end the test by hanging up or pressing the pound key.
Jameson. Oh. Echo, echo, echo. Don't do the echo test on speakerphone, guys. I was gonna say Jameson Irish whiskey, but then it like blew up in my face. All right, so extension 200. Sorry, I'm just writing this down. X200 post-its. All right, so there's our X200. Beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Are you guys having an on-hold versus parking discussion? Schlitz. Who likes Schlitz? All right, so let's get another phone going. Again, this is a phone. This is a new one that I'm creating. Yealink T46G. You guys can see, like, imagine you have 100 phones that you need to set up. This is why the endpoint manager is so spectacular, right? I've got a phone, brand new in a box, not opened. MAC address is right here on the sticker. So I'm just going to say 001565A0DDFB and submit. And so now I've created a second extension. And, you know, if I unbox this phone and plug it in, because I've got option 66, and because I've got the endpoint manager, the phone's just going to come up, it's going to power up, it's going to update its firmware, and then it's going to be connected to the network and connected to the phone system. So it's just, in terms of IT administration, there's no easier way to get a phone online than when you're using the endpoint manager. That's what the endpoint manager is for. That's why it was created. And believe me, connecting SIP phones to a SIP server is not always a walk in the park. Ask anyone who has Polycom or Cisco phones how easy it is to auto-provision them. All right. All this talk about beer, I'm actually thinking of maybe going to grab a beer. We're getting towards the end of the live stream here. I mean, it's like only 45 minutes left. I can have a beer, right? Okay. Put that down there. So if you guys are interested in key system functionality, I did a live stream probably about 6 months ago, and we went off on a tangent about replicating key system functionality in the FreePBX, and you can do it with call parking and with call parking appearance buttons. So check out a video on my channel called Replicating Key System Functionality, and it kind of goes into like an explanation. I'm not going to go through the same explanation now, but it goes into an explanation of what you can do to make a FreePBX appear to be more like an old legacy key system. And it uses call parking to do it. Okay, so again, brand new phone, never been plugged in before. We're just going to plug it into the network. Oh, I need a power adapter. 1 second. I'm hoping I don't blow out my... Oh, shoot, really? These bricks, I'm out of space on my power SLA key system. I'd like to get your thoughts on an internal modular. Yeah, man, I'd be happy to look at it. My thoughts on key systems are you should, move on already. That's about the extent of that. Alright, so let's go here. Hopefully I don't, if I lose power or something, guys, I've got so much stuff plugged in down here right now. Oh, let me get the network plugged in first. That's plugged there, that's plugged there, that's plugged there. Oh, really? I'm out of ports. Alright, let me pop into my tough switch real quick, and I want to disable the power over Ethernet on that 5th interface. Tough switch, what is it? .20. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Hey Blaze, just came into the stream. Are you or going did you or are you going to cover changing the calling party ID? You mean changing like your... Why is that not working? Oh. It's not working because I don't have a management VLAN on it. Darn it. Sorry guys, 1 second. I just need to find a long network cable. Kidding me? I don't have any. Oh, here we go. Here's a good 10-footer. Remember, I've got extra untagged ports on that Edge Switch 24. Can I get this around my back? Yeah. All right. Watch me get up and trip on this cable now. And power. Okay, so this phone's booting up. You guys can see that behind me. All right, let's get back here. So basically what we should see, and I'll go through the comments again here. So this is an error that's coming from this phone over here, because it doesn't have a mailbox associated with it. By default, the endpoint manager allows creates a subscriber ID for the mailbox. So if you don't have a mailbox associated with the phone, you're just going to get this warning over and over and over. Okay, I understand the system is sure not right for me. Just trying to make it easy for them. That's all. They were used to some buggies where they. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, guys. I mean. It's funny because key systems, like, I just wish they would go away, much like I wish fax machines would just go away. Like, who faxes anymore? Like, enough already with the fax machines. Okay, so this phone is initializing. Actually, let's watch TFTP first. Tail-F var log messages grep TFTP. Oh, I think it already grabbed its file. Yeah, it already grabbed its file, so it's already hitting TFTP. We can see this is the new MAC address here. Sorry, Rob's got some PTSD regarding fax issues. Mostly, listen, when I'm setting up a FreePBX system for people, I mostly just say I'm not running faxes through FreePBX at all, because it just... I mean, there's the Fax Pro module, and there are like fax capabilities in FreePBX, but it just doesn't work that well, you know. So I try to just avoid it at all costs, because ultimately what happens is something, you know, doesn't work perfectly right with someone's fax machine, and then you spend most of the time troubleshooting, just, you know, trying to get a fax to work. So yeah, it's just I don't know. No more faxing already. Enough with the faxing. Okay, so this phone is updating its firmware. In the meantime, I'll just create another extension while we're doing this. Like I said, the point of this was I'm actually setting this up. This is work that I actually have to do. All right, let's see here. Okay, extension 202. This is the Pecan bedroom. Pecan bedroom number 2. Don't ask me why it's called that. And submit. Oh. Got to do the endpoint manager. Go back and edit. And click other. And we're going to say Yealink, T46G internal, T46G, account 1. Let's get the next MAC address. All right, 001565 A0E 452. All right, and we'll set that phone up as soon as this one's done here. Submit. I've had a lot of success using the, hang on a second. I've had a lot of success using the built-in fax receiving features of FreePBX. You need a stable connection, G711 codec, a fax machine set up for the lowest possible speed, error correction off. Okay. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying I've seen it not work in enough instances that I don't like to even deal with it. And what I tell my clients is if you want successful, reliable faxing, take a PSTN line, a POTS line, and plug it into the fax machine. That's that. Sangoma, I should say, does have a thing called Fax Station, which is a little appliance that sits and it sort of, I guess, caches faxes. I'm not sure exactly how it works. But I haven't tried that, but there are other fax solutions as well. Yeah, no, you're right. Some simply can't for legal reasons, but just because they can't abandon faxes, and I'm not saying, I don't suggest to anyone that they abandon faxes. What I'm saying is don't run faxing through the FreePBX. Just like I say, don't run elevator phone lines through the FreePBX, and don't run alarm system phone lines through the FreePBX, right? Those are things that you need to eliminate single points of failure as much as possible. So faxes, alarms, elevators, I don't put through the FreePBX. There's no reason to. Oh, you've been working on Fax Station, Rob? Oh, cool. Well, I have a customer that was maybe interested in it, but we're going to try Fax Pro first and then see how that works. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard. Now, if we go to the dashboard, we can see that there should be some extensions online at this point. Oh, there we go. So we can see down here, we've got one active call. That was my test call, my echo call. Users offline, and we should, oh, it's online. Look at that. So 2 users, oh, offline. 1 user offline. This is this phone back here now has its extension number, but it's still blinking, which means it's still doing something. Oh, now it stopped blinking. So I've got 2, I should be able to call extension 200. Send. And there we go. So that's working. Again, I just love that so much, you know, being able to just take a phone and just set it up in the endpoint manager, plug it in, and I know that phone's going to come up and be online and be working. So if you have a company with elevator, alarm, fax, etc., they need 3 PSTN lines. That somewhat negates the cost savings of VoIP. Okay, so number 1, voice over IP, while cost savings are a major factor, it's not necessarily the only factor. Number 2, alarm system, elevator, at least those 2 can share a single POTS line. There's very rarely where you're going to need to be using both of those at the same time. And, you know, fax machine, if they don't want to use a POTS line for fax machine, there's many alternatives out there than using a copper fax line. You've got eFax, right? You've got something like Fax Station, whatever. So you don't have to do, you know, you don't have to have one line dedicated to each of those functions. Again, every situation is different. But there may be cases where, yeah, someone has to have a dedicated line for alarm, elevator, and fax. But how many other lines are they using, right? So they're still going to have cost savings on those other lines if that's your big determining factor, right? So you've got all of the other lines that they're using that can potentially take advantage of the cost savings of voice over IP. Anyways, and I don't mean to start a major discussion on old school technology and where you should use POTS lines and where you shouldn't. Again, every situation is different, and when I approach a customer, I listen to exactly what they have and I come up with the best solution for that customer. They're not all the same. In fact, there are very few that are exactly the same as another customer. Okay, so let's see. My internet was down, Andrew, my internet was down for 3 hours today. If I was running a hotel and had elevator lines going over VoIP and a person got stuck in an elevator, that would really suck. Yeah, that would really suck. Like I said, those are the reasons why those lines are run separately. Bottom line. You don't want to rely on the FreePBX for something that's as important and mission critical as your, you know, as an elevator or an alarm or whatever. Okay, so what next? I guess we could create some ring groups. Oh, you know what I want to do? Oh, we've got 3:26. We've got about a half an hour. I've got a couple of fun little pieces of equipment here. I don't know how far along we'll be able to get in this, but look at this. So this is a CyberData SIP paging speaker, and this is the talkback speaker. So it's got a button. This button has an LED around it, and if someone pages you, you can hold down this button. Or no, it actually feels like a click. I wonder if it's a toggle. Well, you can either hold down this button or click it and talk back through the. There must be a microphone on the PA. So I've never set one of these up before, so it'll be interesting to do so. Whoop. All right, I don't want to lose any of these little parts. And I don't know, I'm going to look and see if CyberData equipment is in the endpoint manager. Is it? It might be. Let's see. Add brand. CyberData. Oh, look at that. Huh. What is this, though? All right, hang on a second. Let me take a look at this before I unbox that thing. All right, so we've got template name. Let's just call this SIP paging speaker. Internal 192.168.76.10 -8. Firmware management. Let's see if they have firmware. Provision server address 192.168.76.10, and let's save that. Let's see what devices they have. All right, here we go. Call button version 1, ceiling speaker version 2, emergency indoor intercom version 1, keypad intercom version 1, which I think I have one of those. Oh, talkback ceiling speaker. There it is. So the other thing I have here is this guy. No problem, Michael. Have a good one. Thank you for joining. All right, so look, this guy too. So this is like a gate control or something like that, where you can put it at a front door, hit a button, and it rings through to a ring group on the FreePBX. So I don't think I'll have time to set that up as well, but I will be doing videos on these devices soon. So stay tuned for that. But I think this is the talkback ceiling speaker. So we're just going to say talkback ceiling speaker. Yep, that's exactly the one that I have. Beautiful. RTFM. Does it actually say RTFM on there? Oh, it does. That's funny. I wonder what it actually stands for, because RTFM usually means read the manual. I guess that's the microphone. But how funny that it says RTFM. So this is 802.3AF PoE compliant. And I have my 802.3AF PoE switch plugged in the next room, and I've got a couple, I don't know if you can see on the floor here, but there's a couple of blue cables that are coming over from that switch. So I should be able to power this thing up in just a little bit here. I don't want to lose this stuff. Hang on a second. Let me just organize a little bit, guys. My office is always a little bit of a mess because I've got so much equipment coming in and out of here all the time. Okay, so let me close this down. We're just going to, okay, so momentary key press digit. Enter the digits for relay activation during call. Relay destination. Enter the destination for call. Momentary key press digit. Reset test function management. Oh, RTFM, reset test function management. So it's not the microphone. Where's the microphone then? I mean, this thing is a talkback speaker. I know it has a microphone. Maybe it's just behind the grills or something. Or maybe it's this. There's a little extra hole right here. That might be the microphone right there. Momentary key press to open gate. Okay, thank you, Blaze. Extension to dial, that's like the ring group, basically. So let's create the ring group first. Okay, so we'll create the ring group as extension 500, and the gate will be 9. Okay, so let's save that. Let's go ahead and, so extensions, let's create an extension for this thing first. Where can we get them button pads and push button at? And button pads and push button. Are you talking about the thing that came with it? Are you talking about this, Joe John? Because this just came with it. This is the talk. This is the SIP, the CyberData SIP talkback speaker. It comes with this thing, which then you have to wire over to the speaker itself. And I got some wire. I don't think we're gonna actually. I just got some like doorbell wire. I think this will work fine. But I gotta actually wire it up. I don't think I'm gonna have time to wire it up on this live stream. Okay, so let's see. Add extension. I will put my devices in 300 range. So we're just going to call this 300. We're going to call this talkback. Actually, we're going to call this shop PA. I don't need a user for it. Let's go other. Brand, CyberData, SIP paging speaker. This is a talkback ceiling speaker, and the MAC address is on the box somewhere. Yes. 0020 F7 03299E. Submit. Oh, I gotta do the firmware too. Andrew, thank you. Yes, thank you for your kind comment. Yes, I have evaluated the Grandstream PBX devices. I cannot stand them. They are so counterintuitive. They receive like my lowest recommendation possible. I just don't like. In fact, all Grandstream devices, the problem they all share are that they're all needlessly complex. Like there's so many options that they throw at you, even in the phones, that it's almost like you're drowning in the amount of options that you can have. So it's sort of like what they really need, what Grandstream really needs, and if I was their product guy, their product design guy, what they really need is just a simple basic mode and advanced mode toggle button on all of their devices, where basic mode just has the basic settings that you need to make it work, and advanced mode allows you to do all the advanced stuff, right? If they built that in, Grandstream would go up in my eyes a lot. Okay, so I've got my shop PA put in. I wanted to check the endpoint manager for CyberData firmware. So we're going to go to our endpoint manager, firmware management. Blaze, I will be setting that up, not on this live stream because I only have about 25 minutes left, but I will be setting up the outdoor intercom and keypad on a video, hopefully pretty soon. Device by brand. Firmware, device by brand. Can I add firmware? Firmware management. Can I not add? Maybe there isn't CyberData firmware. I'm not seeing where you can add another firmware. Yeah, they must not have. They don't have CyberData firmware in here. Hey Nick, greetings. More Netherlands checking in. Okay, so theoretically, let me get another cable, another network cable, and I'm going to plug this into my PoE and get it powered up here. What this looks like. They come in gray and white, just so you guys know. So you've got volume, read the effing manual, and I think this is the microphone up here, but I can't be sure of that. Then you've got two lights. One is a link light, and one is a status light. And on the back, you've got a map of the analog connection points here. With all the, it says what each one of these is, of which 4 of these wires go over to that talkback speaker. And then you've got 802.3 compliant LAN input. 802.3 AF PoE compliant LAN input. All right, so here's my 802.3 AF. Let's plug it in. And I got link light and status light. How can I get this set up right? All right, let's just put this up like this. There we go. Okay. So let's watch TFTP and see what it does. Yeah, void if I take the blue sticker off, right? All right, so let's see. Okay, so let's look at our TFTP server. Let's see if there's a file for it. Here it is. Look, there's a something.config and an XML file for it. All right. So we're watching our TFTP server. Link light is yellow, which probably means 10100, and the status light is blinking. So I'm assuming that this device can pick up option 66, but I don't know that for sure. All right, suggestion. Can you do a session on how FreePBX manages firmware, please? For example, I see CyberData has a firmware for the SIP gate call box. How does that firmware get into FreePBX? I did a little bit of that earlier, Blaze. If you go back, when this is done recording, go back to the beginning, and I do go through the firmware in this live stream a little bit. There's really not that much to it. So does the FreePBX Sangoma peeps upload it, or does the end user admin upload it? So if you're using the endpoint manager, the FreePBX admins or the FreePBX developers handle that for you. They just put in whatever the latest. I mean, they don't obviously keep up with the latest firmware immediately for every single device in the world, but there's a working version of firmware for every device that's in there for the most part. Oh, Rob answered. Blaze, the provider gives us a bunch of firmware. We check it, validate it, and mark it as available. There's a guy whose almost entire life is spent doing that. Poor Luke. Yeah, no, believe me, Blaze, there's a lot of people that don't use Endpoint Manager because they want to install FreePBX. They don't want to pay $75, even if it means it costs them hours upon hours of fiddling with firmwares and that sort of stuff. All right, so link and status light are solid. I'm guessing that maybe this doesn't do option 66. I don't know. Let's pull up my firewall. I'm going to pull it up in this other window again because I don't want to display my IP to you guys. All right, and let's look at, here we go. So now I'm in here. Let's look at, this is very difficult to see, I know. Sorry, guys. How about that? Maybe a little bit better. So let's look at our 76 DHCP leases. And here it is right here. It got 192.168.76.103. So let's pop that in a browser. 192.168.76.103. Oh, here we go. All right. What's the defaults? What's the defaults? Okay. Sorry, guys. I have not set one of these up before, so I need to find the default username and password. No, that's not it. Quick reference. Should I just try admin? Does anyone know the defaults for this thing? It's not UBNT. I know that for sure. All right, I'll put these back up. You guys are funny. All right, so let's see. Oh, admin. Man, didn't I just say, should I try admin? All right, here we go. Admin. Oh, here we go. All right, let me zoom this in a little bit so we can see it all together here. Okay. CyberData ceiling speaker. Not registered. All right, so let's see if there's a provisioning device config. Digital volume control. Okay. Active relay with DTMF code. DTMF code 321. Activate relay with DTMF code is 321. Oh, okay. Interesting. That must be the setting in the endpoint manager. networking. Where's my provisioning server? VLAN ID. Oh, this can have its own VLAN ID. That's cool. Auto provisioning. Here we go. Enable auto provisioning. TFTP auto provisioning server address. I can't change that. Oh, get auto. Okay. So I just had to check the box for enable auto provisioning, and then the second box is get auto provisioning from DHCP. So let me do that. Save. And reboot probably. Reboot. Oh, look at that. Hey, there we go. Now I'm getting it in TFTP. Beautiful. Yes, you can run PoE through a patch panel. Typically, it's not a problem. I mean, as long as your patch, the cable all the way through should be the same quality. Like, for instance, you wouldn't want to run like through a Cat 3 or Cat 5 patch panel. You use like a good solid patch panel, like Cat 5e or Cat 6 rated patch panel. Oh boy, there was a lot of stuff. Who doesn't use Endpoint Manager? Endpoint Manager is worth its weight in gold. Love it. How much does it cost for Endpoint Manager? FreePBX is primarily open source project. There's a big line that we care a lot about, $75 for the Endpoint Manager. And if people want to run 100% open source, we actively encourage that. Endpoint Manager is $75, and you need to be running FreePBX distro, which has a bunch of stuff already set up. Okay. What is TFTP and what does it do? I just only heard of it now. Okay, so TFTP, did this thing work? TFTP is basically like if you're familiar with like FTP, which stands for File Transfer Protocol. FTP works off of TCP, right? So you go TCP port 21. I think FTP is port 21. TCP port 21. And that's how you can transfer files between computers or like out to the internet or to a server somewhere. On the UDP side of the IP stack, they use TFTP, which is trivial FTP. And that's essentially just a file transfer protocol, mostly for downloading and uploading. There's no authentication required. It's just non-routable UDP. And it's used in cases like this where you've got devices that just need to grab a configuration file or something like that. Let's check asterisk. Did that register? Uh, 300 registered. What happens if I just dial 300? Hello? Jesus Christ. that scared the shit out of me. All right, so the volume comes maxed by default. If anyone didn't catch that. Let's try that again. 300, send. Check, check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so it's very low right now. Let's see. Check, 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 check. There we go. Okay. Easy. How easy was that? Look at that. So I've never set one of these up before, and I just got it done in about 5 minutes. So that's beautiful. So again, Endpoint Manager, guys, it's wonderful. Sorry about that. I hope that didn't come through like super, super loud. Look, it freaked out my dog too. That's funny. All right, so let's check the status of this thing now. Let's go home. All right, so here we go. Primary SIP server registered with SIP server. So let's take a look at some of the settings here. So SIP config should all be in here. Yeah, look, it grabbed the SIP server, the port, here's the authenticate ID, the password. So it grabbed everything from the Endpoint Manager. We didn't have to worry about it. What time is it? 3:45? Let's try to get that talkback button working. All right, I'm going to disconnect this for now because I don't think you're probably not a good idea to connect up the talkback button with the power plugged in. All right. Yeah, sorry headphone users. That was my bad. Yeah, sorry. I woke everyone up. Hey. All right, so on the back here, there's like a map of these relays, and on the talkback button, I think it came with something as well, but it's pretty straightforward from what I understand. Where is that? Sorry guys, I'm RTFMing. Okay, so yeah, so you can see here, it comes with instructions for like which wires go to which thing. So you've got a button sense ground, a button LED, button LED plus and minus, and then you've got a button sense button, or a button sense lead, and a button ground lead. So just 4 connections. Let me do that. Okay, so let's see. All right, so this is just regular doorbell wire. I'm going to cut a few segments of this. I'll respond to your comments in the meantime. Sorry about waking everyone up there. All right, so just a regular little pair of wire strippers. I'll do about 2-foot sections. 3-foot sections, maybe. Okay, so there's 1 pair. Let me do a similar size pair. 2 pair. Okay. Do it again. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that again. That was way too loud. That thing is gnarly. Alright. You guys can tell I'm from California because I just used gnarly. I'm from California originally. I was born and raised in Los Angeles area. Come on, strip wire. There we go. Okay, so let's get that. And that. What did you just miss? You missed I tested the PA speaker and it was on full volume. And it scared the shit out of me. See, now I do need a beer. Calm my nerves down. Alright, here we go. Okay, so I just stripped it about, about so much. Alright. Now, put it into these leads. Alright, so I'm going to do the button sense and the button LED plus first. You guys all here, I'll put the camera down so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Alright, so I'm just going to unscrew these. Alright, so oh, wrong one. Alright, so white is going to LED plus and red is going to button sense. Okay, and then on the other side, let me strip this one too. I don't need so much stripped as I did on the first one. Yeah, the button's got an LED. So I guess it lights up. I don't know if it's always lit up or what, but we'll see when I plug it back in. Okay, so there's that, and then on this side we want to do button sense ground and button LED minus. So I'm going to do the LED minus as red. And then button ground is the 4th one up here. I know this is incredibly difficult to see. You guys can't actually see what I'm doing, but alright, so that goes there, that goes there. Tighten these up. Okay, now we've got this. This guy has 4 leads here. So these 4 screws, there's like one of them right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing to note on the setup is the night ringer mode. Make sure it is disabled unless you are using it. Ran into an issue with their paging gateways and that behavior recently. Night ringer mode. Night ringer. Dun da 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 dun da dun da dun. All right. Knight Rider reference check. Oh, of course it's not going to pop up. I have it unplugged currently. Okay, so here we go. Let's unscrew these. I'll check that night ringer when I bring it back up there. Okay, so back view, call button. Just want to make sure I'm getting these into the right spots here. Okay, so this is button LED plus. And button sense, that's right here. I know no power, Joe John. Okay, here we go. Wire in here. Wire in here. This is the exciting part of the video. If you guys aren't watching this live and you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you give me your thumbs up if you can. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already a subscriber. Much appreciated. So what this is, ALF, is, yeah, basically a PA speaker that has a button that when you press the button, it becomes an intercom. You can talk 2 ways. Make this bigger? What, this? Oh, you want this? Yeah, actually, you're right. I could make that bigger. Sorry, guys, that whole time. All right, so here we go. So you can see I'm wiring it up in back, and I'm just wiring it based on this, this diagram right here. Somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so ground is white, so ground goes top left. Very exciting watching someone screw in wires, I know. Okay. I should make this a call-in show, then other people can be talking. Yeah, if you guys want to look this up, this device, this is the CyberData SIP Paging Talkback Speaker. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm all wired up. Let me plug it back into PoE. Oh, look at that. Let's see if you can see that. Look at that blue LED. That looks pretty cool. Okay. And yes, this is SIP enabled. Get rid of my little ends there. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so let's bring up the TFTP or asterisk. We should be able to see this thing. Did I get the strobe kit? I did not get the strobe kit. Raz, don't need to mute the volume, man. It's I've got it turned down now. Okay, so there we go. Pier 300 now reachable. So it's now online. And the button is still, LED is still lit up. So let's see what happens here. All right, so I'm going to call it 300. Send. Check, 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 check. Let's try pressing the button. So it's blinking. The button's blinking right now while I'm paging through it. Hello, hello. Check, check, check. Oh, and there we go. I can hear it. Check, 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 check. I have to put it on the speaker. This might feed back. Let's see. Check, 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 check. You guys can tell though when I press the button. Check, 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 check. When I'm pressing the button, you'll hear feedback start to happen. Okay, so cool. Check, 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 check. All right, that's pretty awesome. So that whoa, I didn't hang up properly. All right, so that's pretty awesome. Can you call from the button to the phone? That's a good question. Oh, I created a ring group for that. Hang on a second. Let's try that. Good question. We'll try that before I go here. All right, applications. Ring groups. I think I did 500 if I'm not mistaken. Enable night ringer, and I'm going to disable that per Chris's suggestion. You would expect the button would dial a number. I agree, Rob, and I think it does because if you go into the the settings, let's see, device config. Well, DTMF relay is still set at 321. I thought that would have gone to 9 because that's what I set up in the SIP config. Dial out extension is 300. Okay, so or 500, excuse me. So I'm going to create a ring group. Add ring group. We're going to call this ring group number 500. Group description is going to be just ring all. Default, whatever. And let's put in these 3 phones here. Okay, I think that's all we need to do. Destination if no answer. I'm just going to terminate the call for now. I'll worry about that later. What's in event config? Let me check. Event config. Enable event generation, remote event server IP. It looks like this is, what's it called? Why am I, oh, syslogging? This is probably syslogging? Oh, remote event server URL, XML parse engine. Update firmware. 6.5.5. I can check if it's the latest. Cyber data, SIP paging speaker firmware. Oh, I want the talkback one. Let's see, VoIP. Talkback speaker. Downloads. Firmware 6.5.3, and I'm on 6.5.5. All right, so I'm on a newer firmware than you can download? Oh, yeah, no, I guess I am. Interesting. All right. Okay, so we created that ring group. If I dial 500, yeah, so it's ringing the phone behind me, so it's working. All right, let's try the talkback. Let's just try hitting the button. There we go. Hello? Hello, hello? Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. All right. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I tried to talk into this for a second. Yeah, as I said, specific certified firmware. Okay. Well, I'm going to... so basically, I just press the button once. My ring group goes off. Hello? Check, check, check. And then when you pick it up, you're talking through the speaker. So that's cool. That works really well. Very cool. So, Rob, are you saying that this firmware, the 6.5.5 firmware, this is specific to FreePBX? Like this is, you worked with CyberData to get this version? Interesting. All right, well, it's a little bit after 4 p.m. Pacific time, guys, so thank you all so much. Oh, that's okay, man. No worries. Thank you all so much for joining me on this live stream. We did a little bit of FreePBX setup. Normally, when I'm setting up FreePBX, I actually go a lot faster than this, but we did a lot of tangents. We took a lot of side roads, you know, talking about different things and having a good time. So I appreciate everyone that joined me here. Looks like there's still 33 people watching. I think it was about 40 some odd at the peak. And again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm very glad that you enjoy what I'm doing here. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And of course, give me a thumbs up on the video if you like the video. So my name is Chris with Crosstalk Solutions. Thank you all again for joining me on this live stream. And I hope you all have a great evening and a great weekend.